you know? Bro's religion is all over the place, and we'll get into that in a minute.
And that became the Renaissance era. So all of that history that was taken away from people in the Israelite School of UPK, we give that history back.
Okay, so all right. So there's this conspiracy theory that I don't understand much about it because the scholars that are presenting the information to exactly presenting it in the most convincing way. It's just kind of exactly got the theory down pat, but the theory is that they are apparently, like, there was like the 12 tribes of Israel or whatever, and one tribe is missing, and certain people, like the case in point here, I keep pointing in the wrong direction because the monitor is inverted. Case in point, this individual here believes he believes that they are the lost tribes of Israel. So they was Jews, okay, basically. So they claim this particular group claim that they are the real Jews. Okay, so again, it's like, are you Native American? Are you Jewish? Are you, like, what are you exactly? It seems like they just want to kind of double dip or like quadruple dip into everything, like anyone's heritage, not to mention very insulting to everyone else. It's like, we were Dutch, we were Indians,
Nobody
we were
else has heritage.
we were
Nobody
we were
else
this, we were
built
that.
anything, created anything. It's all theirs. Don't you know? Don't you know? Hello? Where have you been for the where have you been for modernity? Head in the sand? Come on now. Haven't you seen the people who built all the good shit? Don't you know? We're just thieves. We are crooks. We're thieves. We took it all from Africa, don't you know? My goodness. This stuff, like, if they want dignity and respect, they're gonna have to do better than this, man. This is not dignified. It doesn't show us any respect, that's for sure. Doesn't even smack of gratitude. There's not a scintilla of gratitude in their attitudes. It's totally ridiculous. They're not even grateful. It's like, anything we build, they want to take credit for it. They want it. Yeah, like, they can't even fucking graduate school. Matter of fact, in America, if you're good at school, they say, why are you acting white? It's a bad thing if you're doing well. So, and like, they say that, and then the same breath say, yeah, we created everything. But wait a second. Isn't that, like, not allowed in your community? Like, you're not allowed to, like, be good at shit. You're not allowed to, like, want to learn. What's up, big cat? What? Oh, the Under Armour thing? It's all right. It's I'm tired of my fucking hair in my face. On it, not gonna lie, I'm tired of it. I'm not trying to, like, it's not a humble brag. I'm like this close to just cutting it all off and just being done with it. Never have liked it, honestly. Never liked it, but sometimes she couldn't afford a decent haircut, or I can't afford to go get a haircut every 2 weeks. So, and honestly, it only looks good. I only look good with a haircut for like the first couple weeks, and then it takes like months before I don't have to, like, constantly mess with it so that I don't look like a bum. So it's like, either I have to have the money to be able to go get a haircut every 2 weeks, or just leave it long, because there's like really no in between. I suppose I could cut my own hair, just buzz it all off. That's what my brother does. My brother, he didn't mess with that shit. He just cuts it all off. And do you guys see that shit with Ben Gurion? This is some man, this is some dark stuff, dude. Some extremely dark stuff. You know, look how they treat people that disagree with them. This is how they treat people that disagree with Israel.
ישראל חי. ישראל חי. כן.
זיכוי, כל המטרה כאן זה לראות שאין אנשים בתהליך. אחרי
לא להתרגש מהצעקות שלהם, לא להתרגש.
It's funny you mentioned that. I used to always have a flat top. Like I got flat tops till I was like in high school. Or no, after high school. Or it was high school. I started growing my hair out when I got into high school. But yeah, I had flat tops for like the first 16 years of my life by like an old American dude that, like, you know, flat tops were his specialty, which is kind of like, I don't know how that could be somebody's specialty. It is though, because they freehand the top. You know, it's flat, but they do that because they have a steady hand, and so flat tops, they kind of are like a lot of forgotten art. You know, because when I was a kid, I would go to a barber shop. My dad would take me to his barber shop. It was like across the street from my elementary school. And I was playing football and stuff, so I had a bowl cut as a small kid. Always had the bowl cut, hair in my eyes. And then when I started playing football, I started getting flat tops because of the helmet. And I just kept getting them for years. But, you know, I've gone to hair cutteries, and because that barber shop is gone, I've gone to those places. They don't know. They have no clue how to do a flat top. Like, you mean you just want to buzz? Like, no, I want a flat top. And it's because and what's funny is if you look back at the 60s, that was a very popular haircut. You know, you see the guys with the white button down shirts, the pocket protector with all the pens and pencils in it. And they got a flat top and their big black frame glasses on. Like it's very reminiscent of the 60s. For sure. You can hear screaming.
ברוכים הבאים לישראל, אנחנו בעלי הבית. ככה צריך. ישראל חי. ישראל חי. כן.
זיכוי, כל המטרה כאן זה לראות שאין אנשים בתהליך. אחרי
לא להתרגש מהצעקות שלהם, לא להתרגש.
I mean, this is despicable, man. And I'll tell you something right now, dude. They would they would treat us exactly the same as they treated those people. We disagree with them peacefully, and they would absolutely love to subject us to that kind of treatment. That's why they did it to those people, to rub it into the rest of the world's faces. I mean, it's like, whoa. Like, you're a fool if you let your custody fall, you know, you let yourself fall into these people's hands. You know, you may never be heard from again. That's so scary. And we're allied with this country. We're like complicit with this stuff. We're cool with this. We allow them to do this to our own citizens. This is dark, man. It's so dark, dude. Honestly, I don't see how this can stand in the modern world. People like Israel, this isn't helping them. It's crazy. And I seen somebody posted it was a map showing how 2 million, you know, the Gazans were corralled into like 15,000 people per square kilometer. I mean, like nut to butt, standing room only. They're corralled to this spot in Gaza, and some asshole, he reposts it and quotes it and says, "Terrorism, terrorism is turns out terrorism is a bad political strategy," or something like that. And I was thinking, oh yeah, then why is Israel? It seems to be working out pretty well for Israel. I mean, honestly, they do this to people who disagree with them, not people that are trying to kill them. They just disagree with them, peacefully disagree. This is how Israel treats those people. And we're supposed to believe that they treat Palestinians that good, just that good. I don't even believe that Palestinians are only treated like that. That's how they treat people that are peacefully disagreeing with them. They treat them that way. And why? I mean, you have to be kind of a fool, kind of a stoop to believe that they're not committing atrocities on Palestinians when, those people aren't criminals. Those people aren't terrorists. And that's that guy, Ben Gavir. He's like pleading with the camera to, Netanyahu, just let me have these people, let me put them in our terrorist prisons for a long, long time. They're like dying to, 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 uh, to treat people this way. I mean, they have an utter lack of humanity. I mean, this is just not how, in the modern world, like, this isn't how people are supposed to behave. This isn't how states are supposed to behave. We wouldn't accept that from China. We don't accept that from China. Or we raise hell with China when they, treat people questionably. But like, we're backing these people. It's kind of it's kind of crazy. I like, how is it that we're allied with these people? I mean, as far as I can tell, Israel, they want to murder their enemies, and they want to sacrifice their allies. They just want death. Like, they truly just want death to all of those that are not, that don't belong to their religion, that aren't one of the chosen people. They want death and destruction to everybody but themselves. What happens when they don't have the whip hand anymore? Do they think that they're always going to be on top? There's only 9 million of them, or 9 million in Israel anyway, but they're like 0.2% of the world's population. Like, that seems kind of suicidal to me, that you would treat other human beings this way when you're like kind of at their mercy. If the rest of the, if the rest of the world, or if America turns on them, they're kind of at the mercy of however the human race wants to treat them. Because if they're going to galvanize their opposition, if they're going to galvanize the rest of the human species against them, like, then they're totally at the, like, and if, the reason why the Nazis, they, lost so, and were caricatured and all that, because other peoples weren't galvanized, weren't on their side. They had allies, but most of the world was their enemy. If everybody had agreed with it, Germany, Judaism wouldn't exist today. And they're literally galvanizing all the rest of the world into wanting them gone. That just doesn't seem very uh very very intelligent to me. It seems kind of like a short-term power trip or something, because I mean, yeah, they have the whip hand now because, they bought American politics. They bought the American government. But we're quickly declining. We are quickly losing all influence and all power in the world because of them, of course. But What happens when we don't have bombs to give them anymore? What happens when we don't have any diplomatic power? We can't afford to pay Egypt and the rest of Israel's neighbors to just take it. Then what? Then where will they be? Do they think India is going to, uh, you know, cover up all of their atrocities? They think India is going to pay their neighbors to submit to them? I think India, they're having enough trouble themselves keeping their own shit together. Like in Israel, they're like, they're trying their diplomacy. They're going all over the world and trying to make friends and trading partners and this and that. And they have had some inroads there. They had that Viktor Orban dude. Well, he's gone. And Hungary is totally against Israel now and will arrest Netanyahu. If he came to Hungary, they would arrest him. But they're quickly exhausting any goodwill that they ever had, and they're showing the world why they've been expelled from 109 countries, why people were, they're like determined to prove that it is a genetic thing. It's like, it's incredible, man. You know, and because I've thought so to myself, just seeing what they've been doing, it's like, man, I totally get why they have been they have just been uh like almost like an antisocial child, a kid that bites and uh kicks and bites and scratches. And I'm not the only one that has had those thoughts. They don't seem like victims anymore. They seem like it seems like the countries that threw them out were the victims now. It seems like the Germans were the actual victims, just like the Palestinians are the victims now. I mean, our media, they swear up and down, oh no, it's the Israelis that are the victims. They've been attacked over and over and over. It's like, I don't know what you're talking about, dude. I haven't seen any evidence. I've seen the mainstream media, tell me to take their word for it. And I've seen Israelis tell us to take their word for it, and Zionists tell us to take their word for it. And then the evidence that there is suggests they're totally full of shit and they've been the aggressors over and over. It's just like all of the propaganda, all of the work that they did in the 20th century. It's like all just kind of, it's moot now. Nobody cares what happened in the 1940s. It's like, well, you're doing this now. We don't really care anymore. Like, things change, and that's not how the world is now. And they're freaking out too. Like, they're going, the other day after Massey lost, man, they were strutting around like Bantam roosters. You'd think that they just won a world war or something. The way any post that Tucker made, they'd be like, Tucker who? Who is this nobody? I seen Mark Levin say something like that. Who is this guy? He's nobody. And I'm thinking to myself, like, they're starting to believe their own lies. That's what it is. They're starting to believe their own lies. They're starting to believe they are untouchable and that human beings can't do anything about it. They just kind of have everybody up against the wall. And it's like, not so. There's like 8 billion other people, like, it's like, and you know what, they remind me of fucking Gollum, Smeagol, from the Lord of the Rings. He gets the ring and then he starts preying on his community, his own people, his own family. He starts spying on them. He starts blackmailing them. He starts, or he basically, victimizes them. and they cast him out. They just say, nah, we're not living with you anymore. You got to go, man. We're going to kill you if you stick around. That's what exile means. Exile means if you stay here, you will die. So you'd better just go. And I mean, I feel like they're kind of quickly, they're kind of earning that, you know, and it's like they have nobody else to blame but themselves, you know. Things weren't this way not that long ago. You know, they have brought all of these things about. Nobody forced this stuff on them. Nobody forced them to take Lebanon. It's like, good, it's crazy, man. And there's so much gaslighting. So much of everything is twisted and deformed and manipulated, particularly by them, Zionists. Yeah. They will celebrate ethnic cleansing and then tell you with a straight face, Ben Gvir does not represent who they are as a nation. Really? I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. Ben Gvir does not represent who we are as a nation. It's like, what are you talking about? He's the second in command. That's like saying that JD Vance doesn't represent America. What? Yes, he does. We're saying Donald Trump doesn't represent America. What are you talking about? Like, this is absurd. Next, they'll be saying, yeah, Benjamin Netanyahu, he doesn't represent Israel. It's like, well, then who does he represent? Who was it that elected him exactly? Nah, I think we should deal with them first, actually. I think the alphabet people and the Arabs, they can wait. The Muslims. Honestly, they're not even a problem. I don't even know why we like they're not a problem. Why are you saying I kind of like them, but you think we could talk about the Muslims and the alphabet people first? Why? Are they a problem? What problem are they causing? Can you elaborate? Because I mean, I've been looking. I used to think they were a problem, but as time goes on, it's like, wait a second, but they're not causing any problems. I mean, yeah, there's some Somalians in Minnesota that are robbing us blind, but for the most part, yeah, these people aren't problems actually. And the problem, what I think what you're trying to get at is the propaganda and stuff that gets shoved down our throats. How do we feel about Trump right now? That he's betrayed us, that he's not acting on our behalf. I mean, obviously, the dude, they asked him, do you factor in Americans' prosperity, their financial situation when it comes to this to the Iran? Oh, not at all. I don't think about that at all. It's not even, it's the furthest thing from my mind. That's what he said. You know, and you know what the furthest thing from my mind is? Whether or not Iran gets a nuclear weapon. I mean, I I don't, honestly, I hope they do. I hope they do, so that all this shit ends. Like, once Iran gets a nuclear weapon, everybody can go home and forget about it. Everybody can stop dying for what, you know, stop dying to try and defeat such. It's just a whole lot of blood and treasure is being burned, is just being thrown away for nothing. Like, if we want to, like, people, they talk about Iran, like, what's his name? Mark Levin. The dude is obsessed with Iran. The dude is obsessed. He says he acts like he's an American and that he cares. It's like, no, no, no. You don't talk about America. All you talk about is Iran. That's all this guy talks about. He posted earlier saying, talking about, you know, if Iran nuked us or nuked us with multiple nukes, because if they have one, you know, or if they launch one, chances are they'd launch more than one because they're so crazy and psychotic. And I mean, evidence, I don't see the evidence for that, but it's like, bro. And he says, you know, imagine like if we had been nuked and experts come out and say, you know, we could have avoided getting nuked, but you know, yeah, you know, all we would have had to have done was endure expensive gas prices for a few months, people would be outraged that we had allowed ourselves to be nuked when it would have just cost a few measly dollars in fuel. Like, it's incredible. This is incredible propaganda, man. Like, whoa. Really? Like, really? And honestly, like, I'm kind of ashamed to be an American right now. Kind of ashamed. Kind of ashamed. Not gonna lie. Kind of ashamed. Don't feel very good about it. Not very, not very proud of the country that I belong to, or the country that I live in. You know, not very proud at all, actually. And day by day, it just gets worse and worse too. I feel more and more ashamed. You know, if we want to get rid of Iran, we have to kill every single one of those people. We have to kill every single one. They have to be no longer exist. But Christians aren't welcome where? What are you talking, dude? You're saying they're not a problem. Go look at Dearborn, Michigan. Are you kidding? Okay, what's wrong in Dearborn, Michigan? My family lives in Michigan. I've been to Michigan. There's nothing wrong in Michigan. What are you talking about? Am I supposed to think it's a problem that there are Muslims, that Dearborn, Michigan has a lot of Muslims? Is that supposed to be a problem? You know, Muslims make up like 1%, less than 1% of America. Less than 1%. You're trying to tell me they're a problem? Really? Because that's kind of ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. That's ridiculous. You know, they're not embezzling and siphoning tax dollars like Zionists are, for instance. Because Michigan isn't Minnesota. Let's not conflate the two. I, I'm I don't have a problem. I don't have any truck whatsoever with Muslims, and it's like there are Jews in Iran. There are Christians in Iran. They live there peacefully. They have no problems whatsoever. They're integrated and accepted in that society. Where they're not accepted is like here. We don't accept Muslims. You're saying that they're this huge problem, but for some in Iran, they accept their Christians and their Jews. They're not a huge problem in Iran, but for you, they're a huge problem here. Why is that? Why are Muslims such a problem for you when Muslims don't have a problem with Jews? Iran has a Jewish population. And you're trying to tell me that the 1% of America is a problem, but there's no problem to really speak of. You can't really point to anything, like they're not killing people. Matter of fact, that Muslim thing, that mosque was just bombed, like they're being killed by us. So, I mean, I'm not sure, like, if you're kidding or just seeing a lot of propaganda, but I assure you, the 1% of America that Muslims constitute, yeah, they're not a problem. There are so many more Indians here than Muslims, like Hindus. I feel like there's probably more Jews in America than Muslims, actually. I'm not saying that I don't think either of them are a problem, but you're saying the Muslims are a problem. Well, Jewish people I think they outnumber Muslims. You know, and Muslims, they integrate. They send their kids to public schools. Jewish people don't. What are you talking about? They have a truck with me. I've never been called an infidel by a Muslim. And Christians used to call Muslims infidels. That's what they referred to Islam and Muslims as infidels in the Crusades, and for many, many years we called them infidels because they didn't believe in our religion. Like I've talked to and dealt with a lot of Muslims. Like I remember this. I was talking about it yesterday. There's one that I helped move. He went back to Bangladesh to find a wife, and then when he came back, he hired me to help him move furniture and like deliver stuff that he bought from IKEA. And I remember we were talking about religion, and I was kind of interested. I didn't know anything about Islam, so I was like, kind of into his evangelism. Like, tell me more. I kind of want to hear your side of the story, and the your val. I want to hear it from your perspective. I wasn't. It's not like I want to be a Muslim, but I thought it was interesting. And every time this guy said Jesus, he said, "And peace be upon him." And that strikes me as kind of wild because Jews won't even say Jesus. They won't even say his name. That's how much disdain they have for our religion. So, like Muslims, they don't, I've never been called an infidel. Matter of fact, they see us as brothers, you know, like very similar religions. They see us as brothers, and they, they, uh, they, they see our religious prophets as godly, just like we do, as great people. Jesus was a great prophet. They say it in the Quran. Whereas Jews, they say that Jesus was the son of a whore and he's burning in hell or drowning in hell in shit or human feces or something like that. So it's like I'm not so sure. Like, okay, yeah, I've seen the propaganda that says what you're saying, but all of the things that I've seen in real life that I've seen with my own two eyes, they were the they said the exact opposite. It was the exact opposite. The Muslims were friendly and respectful and absolutely respectful of Christianity. And it's the Jewish people that I've met. And like I said, I've said this many times. I dated a Jewish chick for a couple years in my late teens, early 20s. And she was actually quite intransigent on it. Like, quite intransigent. Like, if I had a kid with her, that no matter what, like I had no say over that kid's, like, what their values would be. They were going to be Jewish, whether I liked it or not. They were going to celebrate all those holidays, whether I liked it or not. Even though her dad was an Italian, he converted to Judaism, by the way, but he was Italian, so she's only half Jewish that I knew of. One of her parents was Italian, one was Jewish, so she's only half Jewish. And if we had had a kid, our kids would have only been a quarter Jewish. But that wouldn't have been the case. They wouldn't have been told that. They would have been raised as 100% Jewish, whether I liked it or not. So, I mean, you can, you know, keep talking about propaganda till you're blue in the face. But I've lived on this earth for quite some time. I've met many, many people from all walks of life, had many conversations with them. I'm a curious guy. I like to listen to people. I like to hear what their point of view is. I like to see what their values are. And if I'm being honest, the Muslims were great people, God-fearing people. And most of the Jewish people that I've met, they were atheists. They didn't believe in God. They were promiscuous, degenerate, immoral, and they did their best to get me to be an atheist, to get me to be degenerate, to get me to be immoral, to flout the rules. And I know, that all the spells and all the incantations, the propaganda that is stirred up about this, it works on kids. It works on people who have never lived life, who haven't been around, who don't, that don't know anything. It works on them. It worked on me when I was a kid. But life experience, It can't be faked. And increasingly, as technology, as we're more connected and everything is on video, increasingly you can't hide it anymore. You can't hide the real world. You can't hide how Israel treats people that disagree with them peacefully. No, I don't agree. I don't agree with the Democrats on a whole lot either. Like like Rokana posted something earlier that really kind of pissed me off, and honestly, it's like gives it really it makes me right. Like it proves that we've been right all along about a lot of stuff, but about foreigners particularly. Trying to find it. And everything gets slows down to a crawl. Here we go. Democrats must take on the modern day Dred Scott Court. South Carolina is eliminating the only black majority seat. There was only a black majority seat because of gerrymandering, because we're cheating to advantage black people so that they have a bigger political voice than they deserve. You're supposed to get one vote per one person, one vote. But whereas with black people, it's like the opposite of the 3/5 rule. They, instead of them just getting one vote, no, they fool with districts and stuff so that black people, they're a small minority of the country, but they've fooled with all of the rules, and all, everything is gamed so that they have more than one vote for one person.
Modern day.
Rokana, this guy, Democrats must take on the modern day Dred Scott Court. South Carolina is eliminating the only black majority seat. Yeah, he leaves out context there. They're eliminating the seat because it was synthetic. It was contrived. They don't deserve that seat. They don't have enough of a population to have that seat. They're not eliminating it by crooked means and by underhanded thievery or oppression. No. They're eliminating it because we are tired of being oppressed by a minority that has outsized influence that they shouldn't have. Terms on justices now: expand the court from 9 to 13 justices. Yes, protect our sacred democracy. We have a sacred democracy. Unless we lose, then we need to change things around so that we get our sacred democracy back. Democracy to these guys is Democrats winning. Talking about put it on the whole race. They're not a race of people. What are you talking about? Race of people? They're like less than 1% of the planet. This is not a race of people. It's not a race of humans. But no, I don't lay it at all their feet. I lay it to all the people's feet that believe what they believe, that believe in this ideology, that believe that they're superior to everybody else, that they're right and we're wrong no matter what, that they're victims and we're victimizers no matter what, that they can do no wrong. Yeah, I blame it on all those people. Absolutely. But this right here, this is why we've been screaming about foreigners. This is what happens when you let in people that are not Americans. You let in foreigners, and then your country is over. It's gone. America is gone. It's gone. All of our sacred traditions that this country was founded on and that made us the greatest country in the world, they're being destroyed by foreigners who don't give a fuck about those traditions because this isn't their country. They want to make it their country. They want to change America. This is why you don't let in millions of foreigners, because they don't care about our country and our culture and our people and our way of life and our rules and our laws. They don't give a fuck about them. They come here to take. Same thing with Jewish people. They do the exact same thing. They don't give a fuck about American law. They don't care about American traditions. They don't care about, the stuff that we find sacrosanct, sacred, the stuff that made America the superpower of the world. They're literally destroying it all. And then when we have shit, when we have nothing left, we don't have any power. Our country it becomes dilapidated. It just starts falling apart. Then we'll have nothing. We won't even have our traditions. We won't even have our fucking traditions. We won't have our culture. We won't have a good country. We won't have fucking safety. We won't have shelter. We won't have food. We will have foreigners. We will have people that hate our guts. Congratulations. Congratulations. This is where your empathy gets you. Really, I'm not debating you, dude. I'm using you as fodder, homeboy. Like, this isn't a debate. I don't know why you thought it was a debate. I was going to talk about this stuff whether or not you were here or not. I just so happened to look down and see you're a little bit froggy. So, I'll use your propaganda to entertain everybody else. Absolutely. Absolutely. If you don't like it, toodles. Cheers. Later, dude. You don't have to stick around. But yeah, it's not a debate. Hey, what's up, Didi? Yeah, it's not a debate. I don't know what made you think it was a debate. Like, you're not on camera. Nobody's listening to you. But seriously, these people, they don't give a fuck about the stuff that we hold dear. They don't give a good goddamn. They want to change it so desperately. They want to take and really, they're just trying to transform this country into theirs so that they can say they were the great people. They won World War II. Like, wouldn't that be absurd if all the white Americans, they just died off, in 100 years, and you have Indians and Jewish people and Mexicans and this and that, and they're still saying, we're the ones that won World War II. We defeated the Nazis. We rescued the Jays. We did this. We did that. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? Nobody in your lineage did any of that shit. What are you talking about, bro? Like, it's so funny to see these people, the way that they wear us like a fucking costume. We this and we that. Like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about, my dude? What are you talking about? Like, honestly, this stuff is moot, man. Like, it's already gone, bro. They've already sold it out from under us. It's already gone. Like, they've let in so many people. Like, bro, they're in the process of dismantling what we love and what we hold dear. They're just in that process. Same thing in Australia. They're just mid-process right now. Same thing in England, Britain. They're just in the middle of the process. They haven't quite completed it yet. But it's happening whether we like it or not. Yeah, whatever they're it easy. Like, yeah, whatever. See you later, dude. Huh. But seriously, they've it's so dejecting. It's so blackpilling, man. That everything that we were raised to hold dear, it's just fucking slipping right through our fingers like grains of sand, man. That's what it feels like. Went to Walmart earlier. I was in there for like 2 minutes, and just in that 2 minutes, like, I seen a gay couple. These guys had fucking French tip nails. And I don't have no problem with those guys. Do your thing, man. But it's just like it's crazy that like all of a sudden, like just wasn't all that long ago, a few decades ago, that was like you wouldn't see that stuff unless you went to certain neighborhoods of LA or New York. And I think they were like Puerto Ricans or they were some kind of a brown. But like, that's what our country has become. It's become like this magnet for degenerates. We used to let only the smartest people in, but no, that's not what's happening anymore. It's not what's happening at all. Honestly, I'm fixing to move to Kentucky. Like I've just had enough of Florida. I've had enough, man. I've had enough of this multiculturalism country, the multiculti. I'm done with it. Like I don't want to live around it anymore. I don't. I'm not going to live around it anymore. I'm not going to live amongst it anymore. It's disgusting. I don't deserve it. I don't rate this shit. I want to go live around my people from this that have the same fucking ancestry as I do. I'm born and raised Floridian, but I've just had enough of it, man. I'm tired of living around people that I don't like, that I don't can't relate to, that I have zero in common with these people. I'm done, man. I'm cashing in the chips. Like, and people wonder why men are checking out. It's like, well, what did you think was going to happen? You literally strip away everything that was good about this country. You take, there's no longer anything worth fighting for. There's no longer, this country doesn't benefit me. Like I don't get any benefits out of furthering this, the mainstream stuff. That if the mainstream stuff is hell bent on disenfranchising me, taking from me, enslaving me, taxing without allowing me to have representation, that's all it's doing. So why would I spend any time of my life contributing to that? Why would I do such a thing, such a foolish thing? If I was going, if you know, I have no problem working hard. I love work. But if I was going to work, I would be leaving America. Or, well, at least Florida, anyhow. It'd be one thing if I was in Kentucky or Idaho or North Dakota. It'd be one thing, I probably, it wouldn't bother me so much to pay local taxes and stuff. I mean, at least here I don't have to pay any state income tax, but honestly, I'd rather pay more in taxes and live around my people and pay for the people around me that are like me, that have the same genetics that I do. I'd rather pay for their kids to go to school than to live here amongst people that fucking hate me. Like, I'm good, man. I'm good on that shit. Like, it's like in every facet of life, everything is going away from me and and white men. Everything is moving away from us. Like, it's like not even about equality anymore. No, it's about disenfranchising white men. It's about, you know, harnessing them. And I hope everybody in here has seen Animal Farmer, has read the book. But white men in America, we are the horse. We are the horse. We all know what happens to the horse. If I got to die, if I got to work myself to death, I'm going to do it for my people. I'm going to do it for me and mine. And if I can't do that, then I'm not going to fucking work. Simple as that. I've had enough of it. I'm not paying. I'm not going to spend hours of my life working so that a Somalian female can go to college. I'm not doing it. No, not doing it. I'm just not doing it. I'm not working so that I can be, oh, hell yeah. Thank you, Roxy. I'm not working so that my dollars can go to disenfranchising white people and wiping them off the face of the earth. I'm fucking good on that shit. And if you really boil things down to their simplest terms, when you pay taxes, you're working. Like that's taxes. Money is just a representation of labor. Okay, that's literally all money is. Represents your sweat and your effort. Our tax dollars go to Israel. Our dollars go to paying for brown people to go to our colleges, Chinese people to go to our colleges. Uh, we're empowering everybody but white people, everybody but our own people. That's what we're doing when we work and pay taxes. We're literally, and because our government, it just works every day. It works at disempowering us a little bit more, making us more outsiders in our own country. They're just trying to make us foreigners in our own country. Every day we lose a little bit of power, a little bit of fucking security, a little bit of safety. Every day we lose it. And they do all this stuff because we give them the money to do it with. And like I said, that money is just a representation of your labor. So you work when you're at your job, 20% of your day, you work so that Somalian women can go to Harvard, go to college. You work so that Chinese people, Chinamen, people that come here from China to go to our schools, you work so that those people can get a good education. Nothing that we do, nothing that we contribute goes to benefiting us. So I'm done. I'm not contributing to it anymore, and it's that simple, I'm not contributing to it no more. I refuse. I don't have any skin in the game anymore. Like, we're just on the decline. We're being disenfranchised. We're being stomped on. We're being silenced, censored, told to shut up, go back to work, continue to slave away. While at the same time, we're just the odds just stacking. And we're supposed to be happy about this. We're supposed to feel contentment about this. I don't. And I'm not pretending that I do. And I'm not pretending that it's not the truth anymore. It is the truth. They want us to work. It's just so they can take our money, so they can utilize that labor against us. Yeah. I mean, it's absurd. It's crazy. It's downright evil. And they they weave all these different webs and different narratives and stuff, and it's all just to keep you at the grindstone, man. Just to make sure that you don't lift your head up from that grindstone. Because boy, I mean, we are a compliant, hardworking people. We have that Protestant work ethic. And boy, don't they know it. Boy, don't they know it, man. You know why America's fat? You know why America got fat and why they are fat? And why it's a problem when people start losing weight. It's a problem, and it's news too. We're supposed to be the ultimate consumers. Ultimate consumers don't stop consuming. They eat and they eat and they eat and they eat. They eat for eating's sake. They consume for consumption's sake. That's what Americans are. We're supposed to be the good little consumers that don't think, they just consume. Hey, How dare you stop eating that Twinkie? Put that Twinkie back in your mouth. How dare you object to being stuffed like foie gras geese? How dare you object? You know, like America, we were fat because they turned their marketing gun on us. We're just units. What I forget what they call units of prosperity, units of consumption. That's what we're here for. We're here to work. We're here to consume. We're here to contribute and sacrifice. You know, work your ass off and eat the slop we give you. How dare you want to be skinny? How dare you want to have good health? You're not here to have good health. You're here to buy our useless shit. You're here to buy our slop. Who told you the lie that you're here to enjoy life, that you're here to get something out of life, that you're here to be fulfilled by life? Who told you that shit? That was the fairy tale they used to get their foot in the door. Like, capitalism, I mean, taken to its extremes, you know, taken to its logical conclusion, logical endpoint, bro, these companies, it's against the law for them to act, for them to not maximize their profits. It's against the law for them to not maximize their profits for shareholders. Hell or high water, those shares, the profit must be maximized, whether or not they have to poison human beings or condemn them to a life of misery, a life of being bedridden, bed sores. You're so fat you can't walk around. You're so fat you can't fit through the doorway. That is acceptable so long that's an acceptable cost in capitalism, so long as the profit, as graph go up. This shit is scary. It's very scary because it was one thing when businesses accounted, you know, when you were talking about businesses, you were talking about stores, General Notion stores, startup companies where some guy with a crazy harebrained idea to invent something new is working in his basement in his spare time. You know, that's when capitalism was great. When businesses were just people trying to earn a living to support their families. You know, when the idea of, you know, the picture of a business, you know, was just a guy offering a service or a product. But at some point it no longer was about, you know, supporting a family. It was about accruing wealth, you know, and then it's almost like a chain reaction where, you know, a domino effect where as things get worse, it compounds and just, I mean, it gets really bad really quick. You know, people, they start coming up with ideas and ideas like abstractions like marketing, and it becomes predatory. That's what happens. The stuff capitalism becomes predatory. You know, it's not like businesses, they were a passive thing before the 20th century. You had a business and nobody had to buy your shit. They bought it if they wanted to buy it. It was consensual. And you had no power to force them to buy your stuff. You had no power to all you could do was persuade them. You didn't have a coercive means at your disposal. Well, nowadays they have coercive means at their disposal. You know, they can. It's like you have to listen to their to their. Uh, you have to listen to their commercials. You have to subject yourself to being persuaded by them or to being tricked or lied to by them. You have to. There's no choice. It's ubiquitous. They've gotten so much control. And our government, it was great. And our system of government was great for a long time. But I honestly, I just don't see, I don't think the founders had any concept of billionaires and the power that they have and how wide their power is, how all encompassing their power is. You know, they can make you watch their fucking commercials. The only way that you can get out of watching their commercials is if you don't watch anything. You sit at home, stare at the wall. That's how you can get out of watching their commercials. That's how you can get away from them and their harping. You could sit at home and do nothing. That you can do. But other than that, you got no choice because, you know, billionaires, they can buy up advertising time. They can buy up, you know, they could just go around and put their ads in every single media outlet. They do it too. People do it. And you can't get away from it. If you want to watch media, you got to endure it. And they stock our grocery stores. So it's not like you can pick and choose like, oh, you know, this stuff is good for me, this and that. No. It's the same people that stock all the shelves in a grocery store. They don't give you a choice. They give you the illusion of a choice. Everything in the grocery store is made by them, and they don't give you alternatives like that. You know, like it's sickening. Honestly, it's sickening. You know, everything's gotten so perverse, and I'm not trying to, you know, ramble on about like advertising and marketing and stuff. I just using that as an example for how things can fly so far off the track, get so far off the tracks. You know, how things can spiral and get downright toxic, downright evil. And it's like every facet of life has gotten like that. It's all been carried to an extreme. You know, we're all on knife's edges. And not only that, but they're not just marketing for food. You know, they're marketing for medication. So it pays for them to scare you and to make you anxious and give you anxiety. It pays because they sell, you know, they sell all kinds of cures and, you know, all kinds of remedies and cures and mixtures and medicines. So if they can make you feel a certain way, they have the antidote for it. You know, so like they're incentivized to scare us and make us miserable because they have the cure for the blues. They have the cure for that, don't you know? You know, like it is not in anybody's best interest for us to be content and satisfied and happy with the way things are and content with the world. It pays nobody. Like people lose money when you feel good about life and you feel good about yourself and you feel good about your place in the world. People lose money. So don't expect to feel those things in your life because you're not. They're not going to let you feel those things. You participate in society. You know, if you have friends, you're going to participate. Like even if you don't watch anything, if you interact with other human beings by osmosis, you're getting everything anyway. You know, because they've imbibed everything, so it's going to spill over to you. It's like secondhand smoke and cigarettes and tobacco. This great evil health risk. Well, you know, last I checked, cigarettes didn't make me hate myself or make me want to kill myself. But fuck, this culture sure does. You know, like American pop culture sure does. You know, and our parents, they raise us to be good people, and we are good people. And as soon as we turned 18, every business, everybody and their brother come out of the woodwork to twist and manipulate and deform us into people that need help, into people that need to consume. Like think about it. When you turned 18, how different are you from when you were 18? How much have you changed as a person since you were 18? I've changed. I honestly, it's I lament it so deeply. I think I've cried over it before, honestly, like shed tears over it, over how much the society has twisted me, how much our culture has twisted me and turned me into something that I never wanted to be, that I never had any intention of being. All the lies that have been told to me, all of the psyops. You guys remember Dare in school? Dare, the drug program. Yeah, that was designed to familiarize you with drugs so that you would take them. It wasn't designed to scare you away from drugs. When people that have never heard about drugs, they're afraid of drugs. But kids that went through Dare, like me, or kids that have heard about drugs, all of a sudden, curiosity killed the cat. They got to try it because they've heard it's this terrible thing that, think about it. How much has this culture changed you? And have you become a better person because of it? Are you happier because of it? Has the change, has it made you a better person? Has it made your life better? I'm just so dissatisfied with this culture, with everything. Like, I would rather be Tom Hanks in Castaway. Fucking A, I'll talk to a volleyball any day of the week over talking to my fucking computer. No, I'm just kidding, but like, over this culture, like, oh fuck, man, that's like a privilege, dude. Like, how lucky, man. Like, you have an imaginary friend. Well, at least that imaginary friend isn't gonna fucking trick me into doing shit that isn't good for me. At least that imaginary friend isn't going to fucking, send me off to war. Isn't gonna sacrifice me for people who fucking hate me. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, I've thought about this before, like what you're saying, Bob. I've thought about it before about how different I am. Like, I remember, I mean, and I think normal life changes us, and you can't help that, of course. But this stuff is beyond just normal life changing us. It's like everything that we see every day, that we see on our phones, we see in our computers, all that stuff is aimed at making us a customer, making us an addict, hurting us from our money, hurting us from our labor. I mean, what is the point of work anymore? You can't build anything. You can't have anything. They want to take it from you. As soon as you build something that all of a sudden, people want to take everything. People want, you build anything of value, you're just going to watch it ripped away from you and destroyed or devalued. Or somebody else going to want to take credit for it, or somebody else going to claim that you've injured them somehow. It's bitterness and envy. And I was thinking about this last night too. Like, I, you know, we get propagandized, and people are vying, and they're pushing and pulling. They're practically pulling us apart, tearing us in half. To get us to spend our money this way or that way, or to believe this or believe that. And honestly, like, what I was thinking about last night is how fucking absolutely sad and how awful and what a tragedy it is that feminism was allowed at all. It's so perverse. Like, and really I think what it is what I'm starting to get the essence of it. The essence of it is that I think it is the essence and the whole point of it was to separate men and women. Honestly, I think I've absolutely believed that it was just to drive a wedge between them. The idea that marriage is it's gone, it doesn't exist anymore as an institution. It doesn't exist. I seen a chart earlier today that showed eh, marriage rates by the age of 30, from the 50s onward, by the decade, every decade, the amount of people married before 30, it was 93, I think 93% in the 50s. And then every year, every decade, like clockwork, it goes down like 6, 7, or 8%. Now it's below 30%. Monogamy doesn't exist in America anymore. It doesn't exist here anymore. It's gone. And it was destroyed. It didn't fade away. It wasn't expelled. No, it was destroyed, deliberately destroyed. And women, I see, like I genuinely have true sympathy. I sympathize. Like, I'm in a lot of women's same position. I'm not married. So I share, a lot of the sentiments that women share. But I know where to direct the ire. I don't direct it at women, or I try not to. I direct it at the people at the top, because none of us decided on any of this shit. We're just a product of our environments. Like, like, I didn't decide to propagandize women for their first 18 years so that they would hate me personally. Like, no, I didn't do that. But women unknowingly were poisoned. They were poisoned so that they could never get married. They have been trained and molded purposely so that their personalities, their behavior, their opinions, their point of view is distasteful, to say the least, but offensive to men. They turned women into, they made them totally offensive to men. So that, and women, they're trying to find a man, and they think, where have all the good men gone, and this and that. They don't realize that that their behavior, they themselves, to their core, scares men away, makes men, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Like, they don't realize that everything they do and say, the way they carry themselves, is offensive to men. And they didn't decide to, they were tricked into this stuff. They were told that this is the way to be happy. They were told that marriage was oppression and that only men benefited from marriage. Isn't that's kind of funny? That marriage was a oppressive institution. Yeah, get that. It's an oppressive institution. So is it any wonder that marriage rates drop? It's this terribly oppressive, oppressive institution. And then, when, lo and behold, when marriage as the institution is gone, women are lost. Like, whoa, what the fuck? What's going on? Where did everything go? What happened? And honestly, like, marriage, no, it doesn't actually benefit men. It doesn't. It never did. Never, ever, ever, ever. Never did it benefit men. Men specifically, I'm saying. It benefits society, and that was good enough for men. That was good enough. It didn't have to benefit us directly. We were willing to do it because it benefited everybody. Benefited our children, our fathers, our mothers, our sisters, our brothers, our cousins. Benefited everybody. So we took part. And that's how each individual man could contribute to everybody and help everybody. And we could do it as like a majority, or as a group, we could contribute and benefit everybody. And they get rid of marriage, and then all of a sudden, men have no way to really give back. Even if they wanted to, they have no way to give back. And it, like I said, it did not benefit us. It never did benefit us. It benefited our children and our women. It didn't hurt us. I wouldn't frame it as being injured. But you have to work. You have to, a lot of things you have to do anyway. It's like, well, why not? I mean, it doesn't hurt me to do this, and it makes their lives so much better, and it makes, life better for everyone. And now they get rid of marriage, and men aren't hurt by that. They aren't. We're not hurt by this at all. Evolutionarily, genetically, men have always done fine alone. Because historically, most men didn't get married. Most men didn't reproduce historically. So we evolved to get along just fine as lone wolves. Women don't have that benefit. Women don't have that on their side. They need people. They need men. So you take away marriage, you've just severely injured women. I mean, you've injured them. I don't think you could injure women as a whole worse. I don't think there's any way that you could hurt them more. And like, good men haven't gone anywhere. Men actually haven't changed at all. Men are exactly the same as they were 50 years ago. They want the exact same things. It's women that have changed. It's their attitudes that have changed. If you spend your entire childhood being told men are the problem, and then you get married and there are problems, why would you ever consider that you were the problem? If your entire life you've been told men are evil and they're oppressive and they're the villain, they're the bad guys, they're wrong. So let's say a woman gets married and she doesn't have her own life. And what I mean by that, like, she doesn't have her own friends group. She is dissatisfied with her situation. Not once does it ever occur to that woman to consider why that is and if she is to blame. And if there's anything that she could do herself to make her situation more satisfying, more fulfilling. Her first thought, her first instinct is exactly what they wanted it to be. It's his fault. It's his fault. And if I can just get rid of him, I will be happy. I will be satisfied. How many videos have you seen with women where they say they got a divorce and the guy moves on and he's doing great and this and that, and they just want to go back? That they come to the realization that he was not the problem at all. And they never even spent 1 millisecond considering, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm the problem? What if, what if I could, what if all I had to do was make a few friends? Like, they never consider that. Women have been propagandized and programmed to never consider what they could be doing or what they could do to satisfy, or what other things that could they do to make their situation more fulfilling. They never. And it's like that women are propagandized to see men as the problem, but also it's a strange thing, but they're propagandized to think that marriage is the end all be all. Like, you're not a whole person without marriage. You got to get married, or else, you're you're missing out, or you're not a whole human if you haven't been married, if you haven't, like that's kind of, I think that's the kind of prevailing feeling of everybody. Okay, and Nick just he sent out his thing about 5 minutes ago. Man, I was really on a good tear there. I was really fucking cooking with gasoline. Oh well, I guess I'll just have to shelve it till tomorrow. Ooh.
He was saying that we had actually shut down H-1Bs. We actually deported a significant number of people. We built the wall and so on. And a big point, formal, official deportation statistics at all. And we do theoretically have them. ICE records these numbers. ICE has these numbers. They exist somewhere. They've got them. And they track literally to an individual exactly how many people have been deported. However, they don't publicize that number. That number exists. They have it. They are intentionally keeping it private. And you can speculate as to why that is. It's probably because the number is so low. Well, we actually have an update on that. It turns out that last month, in the middle of April, ICE actually did release their fiscal year 2025 numbers. And what we found is that the Trump administration in the second term has only deported 440,000 people. That's in fiscal year 2025. So you might remember last year there was all this talk. They said there were 600,000 deportations, I think was the number that the Trump administration press releases said. I think in December 25, they said it was 600,000 for the entire year. The New York Times did a report around that time, and they said that it's actually more like 230,000 deportations and maybe an additional 300 to 400,000 arrests. Well, now we actually have the official figure, and it gets better. Not only is that figure merely 442,000 deportations for the entire year, which is about 30% lower than what the administration originally said, but it gets better. And this is the big development from today. This was reported exclusively by Axios. Today, Tom Homan, the border czar, said that for the first time in this second Trump administration, they're actually taking the number of interior removals and they're combining it with the number of border returns. And that is actually the figure that we got in April. So to summarize, in December, they said it was 600,000 deportations. It wasn't. In April, they gave us the real number. It was really closer to 440,000. As of today, we now know that is not even the real number because that number, the 440,000, that is not even just actual deportations. That also includes maybe 100,000 people, maybe more than that, of illegal aliens that were apprehended crossing the border, turned away, and sent home. And for those that are in the know, if you've been paying attention to the show, that is literally a trick which was invented by Obama. This is an Obama administration. It's sort of like a data trick. It's one of these statistical lies that they came up with to overrepresent the actual amount of border enforcement, or rather interior enforcement, that you're getting. They're trying to inflate those numbers. They're saying that everybody that comes to the border and is captured and returned, they're saying that's a deportation. And obviously, when we think of deportations, that's not actually what that is.
No, it ain't. Oh,
so we'll talk about that too, and we'll break down the numbers. We'll get into it. We're actually also going to get into this banking executive order. We were going to talk about it, I think, on Monday, but we ran out of time. There was another big story this week where you might remember a couple of months ago, the Trump administration said they were going to ban illegal aliens from opening bank accounts. And we got an update on that earlier in the week. Turns out it's not going to be anything like that at all. They're not banning illegals from having bank accounts. They're not even going to ask banks to request citizenship information from their clients. They watered it down. They totally diluted it. And now the executive order says something like banks are going to be on the lookout for red flags that might point to payroll fraud or money laundering or something like that. And so in short, it's not actually going to help immigration enforcement even a little bit. If the idea was that preventing illegals from accessing banking services might lead them to self-deport, now that's not going to happen. There's in no way, shape, or form will that be the result of this executive order. So we'll talk about that too. Should be a pretty good show. I'm not going to lie, it's a couple of black pills.
Of course, yeah, it is.
We're down on the Trump administration. But before we get into it, I want to remind you to smash the follow button on Rumble, smash the like button, leave a comment, let me know what you think about the show. Remember to check out our merch store, Fuentes.store. We have our brand new spring and summer collection, the brand new white hat. We have the brand new white quarter zip, hoodies, t-shirts, shorts. I think we got some other stuff too. We got the mug, we got buttons, pins. We got a bunch of stuff. Check it out. If you want to support the show, subscribe at AmericaFirst.plus. It's $15 a month to get access to the entire archive. $100 a month to get access to the group chat with me. And yes, I am in the group chat. $100 a month club. It's a Telegram GC. And I'm not only in there hanging out, but I'm also dropping bonus content almost every day.
I wonder if
so I'm in there dropping voice messages
in those rooms, because that actually might not be that bad of a value if you're allowed to comment and talk to Nick, because I've wanted to say stuff and kind of bounce stuff off of him. That isn't actually that bad of a deal. $100 for a month, you could like bullshit with him and pick his brand. Like, I don't know, that ain't too bad.
I'm basically doing like a whole separate show in there. And today, this morning, I did a 30 to 40 minute bonus show just for the group chat, and I talked all about the situation in Iran with a lot of detail. We went back to 2015. We told the whole story, everything that's going on, and really explained the strategy behind the war in Iran and why it's certainly inevitable that we're going to return and try to take another crack at it militarily. Everybody loved it. Rave reviews in the group chat. So if you want the bonus content, you want to rap with me, check out the group chat. That's AmericaFirst.plus. Okay, with that out of the way, we're going to dive in. Couple of other things before we get into the news. First of all, so I shaved the beard.
See that?
I don't know if you could tell, but I got rid of the beard. I kept the mustache. What do you think?
I dig it, man. I dig it. Welcome to the club.
You know, it's kind of funny. My security guard totally psyched me out with the mustache. One day, my security guard was driving me home from the airport, and he goes, "The mustache looks terrible on you. You can't do the mustache. It looks like shit."
What a dickhead.
I was like, damn, okay, I guess I won't do the mustache anymore.
Dick face.
But you know what? I was shaving the beard today, and I shaved it into a goatee. Like, I had the goatee. I had like a little hair here and like here and here. But I wasn't able to shape it right. Every time I tried to shape it on the chin, it just didn't look right. I need someone who knows how to do this to give me like the tutorial, because I had like a little patch of hair right here, but I was like, how much of it do you shave? Like, where do you actually draw the line? And in the end, I was like, it looks fucking stupid. It looks stupid. I'm just going to get rid of it. But I kept the mustache. I don't know how much longer I'm going to keep it, but I thought I'd do a little mustache, at least for the night. Now, the other thing, okay, so besides that, other than that, so last night, I forget what the context was. I think it was during the super chats. Last night during the show, I simply acknowledged my miraculous weight loss, which I feel like I'm not getting enough credit for. I think it's actually quite remarkable. And I said during the super chats last night, I thought I lost 15 pounds. I actually lost 30 pounds. That's like a miraculous transformation. That's praiseworthy. That's pretty admirable. I ascended. Why am I not getting more credit for this? I did what I said I was going to do. So I said this last night. I said, yeah, I can't believe it. I'm so proud of myself. I lost 30 pounds. And the reaction on X has been crazy. Have you seen this? Nobody's talking about anything else. There's nothing in the news, super boring. It's a total content drought. And a lot of the clips aren't really popping off lately. That was like the one clip that went viral in the past few days. I think it was Asika Groiper posted the clip of me saying, yeah, I lost 30 pounds. I'm skinny now. And it got like 2.5 million impressions, all hate. Everybody hating on me. Everybody saying, that's victim weight. You're rapeable. You're not a man. A man shouldn't weigh 125 pounds. Somebody said, here was my favorite. This was the best one. Somebody quote tweeted the clip and they said the average weight of a black woman is 20 pounds heavier than Nick Fuentes. They said, and even better, the average weight of an Asian woman is 5 pounds heavier than Nick Fuentes.
Wow.
And I saw that and I'm like, am I supposed to feel bad about that? I feel like the real takeaway is that women got really fucking fat. Don't you think? Why are so many women more than 130 pounds? I understand maybe 125 pounds is a little bit too skinny for an adult man. I can recognize that. But you're telling me that the average weight of even an Asian woman is 130? Everyone is obese. That's not me. I'm not the problem. I'm not too skinny. Women are way too fat.
Facts.
Okay, am I wrong? I feel like I'm going crazy. People are saying that like I'm the problem. I think it's absolutely sick that the average weight of women is not 105 pounds. That's like totally insane. So somebody quote tweeted and said, you weigh less than the average woman. I'm like, yeah, women are disgustingly obese. It's my fault? People's perceptions are just skewed. And this is why this is now my new message. I'm doubling down. We're not eating anymore. Stop eating. This is my new challenge. It's a little bit late because it's almost summer. We're all going to be going to the beach. We're all going to be on yachts. We're all going to be at the pool. But this is my challenge to you. Stop eating. Stop eating for me. I want everybody to be skinny. That goes for the men and the women. I want everybody to be skinny. It's time for everybody to stop eating. People are way too fat. If that's the benchmark, I'm not the problem. I'm actually the solution. I point the way, obviously. I lost 30 pounds. I just stopped eating. If I could do it, you know anyone could do it. And you know what it was for me? So people are clowning on me for this. They're saying that's victim weight. You know, everyone's going to try to rape you, all this kind of stuff. You know what it was for me, honestly, is I just wanted like a flat stomach. People are going to say that's really gay, but look, I had this disgustingly big belly. I remember I was out on Labor Day weekend, I think it was, and I was on a boat and my belly was just sticking out. It was just pouring over my waist and everyone was making fun of me. Everybody was, I'm not exaggerating, pointing and laughing at my skinny fat. So I said, I just need to have like a flat stomach. I want to have those proportions. I want to have broader shoulders. I want to have a smaller waist. I want to have a flat. As I'm saying this, I realize this sounds really, really gay, but that was kind of the vision, and mission accomplished. So now I'm challenging the women to do the same. Let's bring the average down. Let's be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. So to that person that quote tweeted, you know, thanks for the wake up call. I think that's on everybody else actually to follow the lead. Here was actually the best part. This is actually even better. I was going to leave it at that. But then, so, you know, we talked a little bit last night about Thomas Massie loses his election on Tuesday, and by the next morning, all the conspiracy theorists are saying they stole the election. It's like 2020 all over again. They did the mail-in ballots. And I said last night, I said, how much crazier does it get? Like now everything's a conspiracy. It's Charlie Kirk. It's Maduro was kidnapped to rig the Dominion voting machines. Thomas Massey got 2020'd. You know, they stole the election with mail-in ballots. Just when I thought it couldn't get any crazier, that clip of me saying, like, people should stop eating, we should all want to be skinny, etc. When that clip went viral, I started to see there were a lot of people saying that that is actually a conspiracy to convince people not to eat anymore as part of like the United Nations 2030 Millennium Development Goals. So I saw Eric Stryker from TRS. I saw Uncensored AI. I saw a few other Twitter accounts. They quote tweeted that clip. I'm not making this up. I'm not exaggerating at all. And they said, oh, Nick Fuentes is telling us to stop eating? That sounds a lot like Klaus Schwab, you'll own nothing and be happy. He's telling us not to eat because after the war with Iran, there's a fertilizer shortage and there's not going to be enough food, so he's priming the pump for food scarcity. I'm not making that up. Go and look at their timeline. I saw this and I'm like, wow, Goyim are not people. They're really not people. That is honestly the most black-pilling development of the past 5 years. More than COVID, more than BLM, more than the Biden administration, more than October 7th. They're saying, so I go on the show and say, hey, everybody, let's go on a diet. Let's get skinny. Let's stop being fat. Let's be skinny. You don't need to go on a crazy diet. Just eat less. And now people are saying that's a United Nations conspiracy to get people to acquiesce to food scarcity because of the war in Iran. You know, when I was getting into politics, they would say you're a Fed if you were trying to, like, advocate violence. Like, if I went on Twitter and said, hey, everybody, let's attack the power grid, people would say you're a federal informant, you're trying to solicit people to commit crimes. Now it's like if you tell people to go on a diet, it's like part of a convoluted CIA operation. What do you even do at that point? What can you even say? Literally, what can you even say at this point that is not going to be construed in that way? So I saw that. I couldn't even believe. I'm like, what even do you say to that? And those were real tweets. This was Uncensored AI, which sponsored that America First United conference a couple of weeks ago, the Jew Bilzerian, Amy Danger Slut, that whole thing. They were like the only sponsor of the conference, and it's that account saying it's a psyop to tell people to go on a diet. So I'm like seriously considering just switching sides. Like maybe the Talmud is right. Like you guys might be subhuman. Like, are the Goyim okay? I used to be on the other side saying, the Talmud says we're not people. It says we're cattle, and if, like, we're in mortal danger, that you don't have to save us because our lives don't matter. That's really messed up. But as time goes on, I'm like, I don't know, guys. I don't know. Goyim are merely beasts that resemble people. Sounds like they clocked us. Sounds like they kind of got our number on that one. Offensive? Sure. Shocking? Absolutely. Is it wrong? I'm not so sure anymore. Are they absolutely wrong? I can't say with certainty that they are. It says like in the Talmud, if a goy is drowning, that like a Jew doesn't have to save them because like they're not people. And at first I was like, they value our lives so much less than their own. This is so evil. Now I'm like, I don't know. If I saw a bunch of goyim drowning and they were like, help, help. Wait, but you're a Fed because you said we shouldn't eat as much. I'd be like, I don't know. Maybe you should just like go and drown then or something. Like maybe is there like a lot of value that's going to go away here? I'm not so sure. I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest. It's making me question my previously held assumptions. My experiences this year, they're making me just rethink everything. I'm honestly considering like, maybe like Goyim are actually the problem. Maybe like if they just led with that, if one among them, if Ben Shapiro just went on the show and said, look, Goyim are the problem. It's true. It's all real. I feel like they'd actually be doing better if they just led with that. It would have been shocking, but maybe you should have just ripped the Band-Aid off. Anyway, that's a joke. Obviously, I'm kidding, okay?
Funny.
Obviously, that's a bit. I'm just joking,
It's
just so you
disgusting,
understand.
honestly.
But anyway, so that was that big
Does he not
viral
realize
clip.
why we watch him? It's because we're disgusted with the people who talk like that about us. Why does he do that?
Other thing I wanted to talk about, one other thing before we get into the news. Now, I don't know how reliable this is. I don't know if I would take this to the bank. But I saw a really interesting poll this afternoon. This is the same polling agency that does some of the surveys in Florida for James Fishback. This is the Public Sentiment Institute. They did a nationwide poll. I think they surveyed about 915 people. Did you see this on Twitter? And they found that nationwide, 8% of Americans identify as groypers. 8%. Did you see this? If you didn't, I replied to it on Twitter earlier today. So if you go through my replies and you scroll up, you'll find it. This is the Public Sentiment Institute. Like I said, they polled, I think it was about 915 people. In the end, the sample size was about 896. It looks legitimate. They published their crosstabs, their methodology. It all looks sound to me. And they said that 8% of all Americans say they identify as supporters of Nick Fuentes. It gets even better. When you break it down by gender, it's 12% of the men. 3% of women, 12% of men identify as groypers, which is absolutely huge. 12%? Because you know what that means. If 12% of the men identify as groypers, then that means we run 2028. That means we run the primary. We run the presidential election. If 12% of Americans, if we can reach even half of them, if I can reach and mobilize even half, even a quarter of them, how many volunteers is that? This is a country of 350 million people. So that's 175 million men. 10% of that is what? 17 million? If we can mobilize even a fraction of that, how many volunteers, how many voters, how many people would go to a different state or even in their own state to door knock, phone bank, even cast a vote in a primary? Now you understand this is why they have to destroy the Groyper movement in particular. It's not about whether somebody is Israel critical. It's not about whether somebody supports foreign aid or the war in Iran or not. It's about whether they will follow the lead of a particular figure. And you have to understand the distinction. Unorganized, it doesn't matter how many people feel one way or the other, because in the end, they will fall in line behind a particular party or a particular presidential nominee. 80% of Democrats don't support Israel. However, almost certainly the Democratic nominee will. And I will bet you as much money that I have that all those Democrats that don't support Israel, in the final tabulation, they will be voting for the Democratic presidential nominee that does. Take that to the bank. We all know that. And by the way, the same goes for all these wayward Republicans that might be feeling dissatisfied or disillusioned with the Israel lobby, or maybe they don't agree with Trump's handling of the war, or maybe they don't support the current situation. Just like the Democrats, they will fall in line. So this is something very important to understand. Whether the general public or some demographic cohort has a particular position or a particular preference or leaning, that matters very little. What matters a lot more is there an organizing figure? Is there a central leader type figure that can mobilize them to do something, to vote, to not vote, to go and phone bank, to
my
knock
bad.
on doors, to make a small dollar
in the way.
contribution, to think a certain way about an issue. In the end, that is actually what matters. And why? Because when you actually have election day, when you have a primary day, a caucus day, Republicans are going to vote Republican, Democrats are going to vote Democrat. And people can feel however they feel about the issues. They will be swayed by advertisements, by endorsements, the influence of organized groups like labor unions or their particular pastor or church. The only thing that can actually direct and focus organized political influence is a single leader or organization. So what I mean by this is it matters a lot more that, let's say, 8% of people or 12% of men support me and identify as groypers than if, let's say, 30% of Republicans don't support Israel anymore. And that's why they have to strike at the head. That's why they have to attack the shepherd so that the sheep scatter. I think that's a big reason why there's been so many attacks on me and the groypers lately in particular. I don't think they necessarily mind if there's a general Israel critical antipathy. You see what that actually amounts to. Look at how unpopular Israel is right now. It doesn't even matter. Like, think about that. Israel has never been more unpopular, and yet the administration has never been more pro-Israel. So the way that the public feels is totally divorced from what the government does. There's almost no relationship at all. It's not a causal relationship. There's barely even a correlation. Let's say 50% plus of the public no longer prefers Israel to Palestine, and yet you've got a war in Iran. You've got a memorandum of understanding in the works for a 20-year foreign aid package for Israel. They're shutting down Harvard. They bought TikTok to make it safer for Israel. They're banning people from the World Cup if they criticized Israel. So all of that public consciousness, all of that mass awakening, and a couple of dollars will buy you a cup of coffee, unless you actually have an organizing, rallying point that says, we're going to take our ideas and we're going to do this specifically with them. It's not enough that people don't support Israel, because then they don't know what to do. Well, who do I vote for? Well, I lean more towards the Republicans. Well, I lean more towards the Democrats. Well, I like the way this guy sounds. Well, Vance seems better than Rubio. It doesn't matter how big the plurality or the majority is in that narrow sense, because they're not being focused and directed. What the regime fears is that even if a small number, 3%, 5%, 10%, and especially a small percentage of highly motivated and organized people, if they are all moving in one way, you will see the ripple effect very clearly. It will have a very tangible and visible and disproportionate impact on the national conversation and on electoral politics. And by the way, I've had those conversations with leaders of organizations and other people. They want me on board for 2028 because they recognize that even if it's 10% of the young men, they're going to need those people. And at the minimum, they're going to need those people not to oppose them. They're going to need those people to be quiet, to go along, to get along, to go with the flow. If we have 5 to 10% of those young men and we're making a big ruckus, we're making a lot of noise, and we're out there in the field, well, then their whole game is over.
Kind of is over.
So that's a pretty substantial white pill. And I would say this. I know that some people would look at this poll and they might say, well, that's overcounting them, or it wasn't a large enough sample size. And I could see there might be some criticisms of that poll in particular. But you know what? Every single poll is now like this. You have this poll that says 12% of men identify as groypers. There was a poll this week from the same outfit that said that 40% of 18 to 25-year-olds support James Fishback in Florida. It's not even close. They put it on Fox News. On Tuesday, in Thomas Massey's district, Thomas Massey carried the 18 to 26-year-olds by 43 points.
Wow.
So it's not just this poll. It's all the polling with James Fishback shows the exact same thing. The exit polling, which is, in my opinion, far more reliable in Kentucky's 4th, showed the exact same thing with Thomas Massey. All the opinion surveys and polls that interview about Israel or the war in Iran, they say the same thing too. And so what the regime really fears, and if you pay attention, you'll hear them say it all the time, the New York Times, the ADL, the Atlantic, even the GOP for that matter, what they really fear is that they have lost the young people. They've lost the young men. And where the pressure point is going to be is gatekeeping those young men from the institutions. That is now the next stage of the battle. They recognize they've lost the hearts and minds of the masses, and especially the young people. And now what they really fear is that the most intelligent, most motivated, the highest agency young men that you will find at Stanford, UCLA, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, U Chicago, Columbia, those guys are groypers. And those guys are going to be working in the top investment banks and in the top law firms. And they're going to be the interns at the think tanks and on Capitol Hill. And they're going to be recruited into Silicon Valley. And they're going to be recruited into the administration. And there's going to be a very severe shortage of guys like that are on board with any of this. There's going to be a severe shortage of brilliant, motivated, young white men that are anything other than groypers. There's going to be scarcely few men like that are going to be progressive leftists, and even fewer than that are going to be like Nikki Haley Republicans or something. And that's the key variable to watch. That's actually the operative force in history, and especially in American politics. So I saw that number. If you're looking for a white pill, there it is. And that's all we need. Give me 8%. Give me 12%. Watch us change history. That's why they want to derail the movement. I think that's why there was an all-out attack on groypers, even from the so-called, Jew hater club or whatever. They want to derail that aspect of it. That is actually what they fear the most. But with that being said, we're going to move on. We're going to get into the news. And our big story tonight, I actually want to talk about the deportations first because we haven't discussed this in a long time. Isn't it interesting? And I will just say at the outset, isn't it amazing that you have not heard absolutely anything about deportations in about 3 months? Think about it. When is the last time you even heard one story in the news about mass deportations, about a surge of Border Patrol and ICE to any major city? When even was the last time you heard anything like that? I think the last time that was even in the news had to have been early February. And it was in the news actually when ICE and Border Patrol were in retreat after those 2 protesters were killed in Minneapolis. Trump sent out Tom Homan to the city, and gradually, incrementally, they retreated. They pulled all the thousands of Border Patrol and ICE out of the city, and then they said, that's it. That's it for all these big operations in the cities. No more raids. We're not going to go into people's houses. We're not doing these big patrols anymore. We're not surging personnel to these different liberal cities anymore. They basically said it's over. And since then, I don't think I've heard a single thing about this. The only development, and this is our big story tonight, get a load of this. So there's a few things we're going to get into tonight, actually. As it turns out, and this went completely unnoticed, way under the radar, do you know that in the middle of April, ICE, for the first time since December of 2024, actually released the total number of deportations for a fiscal year? The last number that we got from ICE on the total number of deportations was December 2024, when Joe Biden was still the president. That is until the middle of April 2026, last month. And we got the total number of deportations for fiscal year 2025. Would you like to know what it was? The total number of deportations for fiscal year 2025 was 442,000. Now, a few things about that number. In the first place, let's remember we were promised 1 million deportations per year. That was the goal. Joe Biden allowed 10 million illegal aliens in 4 years. If we even wanted to return all of those people in Trump's term and just get us back to where we were in 2020, you would need to remove 2.5 million per year. The goal was 1 million per year. What the administration actually recorded was 442,000. Now, here's where it gets interesting. They actually gave us a completely different figure in their press release at the end of 2025. In December 2025, the administration told us it was 600,000. And you might remember this. There was this triumphant celebration at the end of the year. They said the first year of the Trump administration, and we succeeded, mission accomplished. We deported 600,000 people. So which is it? According to the press office of DHS, at the end of last year, it was over 600,000. According to ICE's official statistics in April, it's about 440,000. So what accounts for the disparity? Well, in December 25, the New York Times actually broke down those figures and they told us, no, realistically, it was about 230,000 deportations, and the rest were arrests. The discrepancy between the 230,000 deportations and the 600,000 number that the administration gave is that they arrested maybe 300,000 additional people. So how many actually were taken back to their country of origin? Well, really only about 230,000. The rest are people that have been apprehended. And on apprehensions, not everybody that gets arrested is even detained. So they may have arrested 400,000, 300,000 additional people. Many of them get turned away. Many of them are picked up and they're detained for a little while and then they let them go. And many of them are detained and they're still in detention. And many of them, they're in the process of adjudicating their claim with immigration. But probably the vast majority of them, they just let them go because they don't have the infrastructure for this. There was a famous example in California, I believe, where a bunch of anti-ICE activists actually stormed and broke into a detention center and they found that it was empty. So they recorded something like 200,000 deportations, real removals in December. In April, they tell us it's something like 440,000. So there's still a discrepancy. It's not 600,000. Well, is it 230,000 or is it 440,000? Well, today we finally have learned why we have this discrepancy. And this is really going to blow you away. I mean, this is really bad. This is really something. Is it 442,000 deportations? The answer is no. Because if you actually go on the DHS website and you look at their official report, if you look at the data set, they've done a little statistical trick to inflate the numbers. We're not sure exactly by how much. That's actually the purpose of this little trick. What Tom Homan came out today and said is that the administration is now combining the number of interior removals and returns at the border. And I'll tell you what that means in a moment, but this is a story. This is from Axios. It says, quote, the White House plans to start counting people who were quickly removed after crossing the border in its deportation statistics. Republicans fumed that former President Obama was cooking the books when he used the same playbook to tout record deportations during his administration. White House border czar Tom Homan told the Washington Examiner on Wednesday that Trump will count deportations by combining work from ICE in the country's interior with Customs and Border Protection's quicker returns of people crossing at the border. ICE data released in April showed the agency deported 442,000 people in fiscal year 2025.
Yeah.
So what does this mean? Well, during the administration of Barack Obama, you had two categories of what counts as a deportation: removals and returns. An interior removal is when ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, goes to, let's say, a Home Depot parking lot in Chicago, Illinois, or they go to a farm in Iowa, they go to a meat processing plant in Nebraska, and ICE will go there. They will find some illegal alien who has no papers, no citizenship, no residency. They will apprehend that person, detain that person, and remove that person from the country. That is one kind of deportation. That is an interior removal. And when we think of deportations, obviously that is what we're thinking. What is catch and release at the border? It's when an illegal alien shows up at the border, we catch them, detain them, and then we release them into the interior of the country. And then we lose track of them. And you've got millions and millions of illegal aliens that have either jumped the border, or they're a catch and release, or they overstayed a visa, they slipped in between the cracks, whatever, and now we have these millions and millions and millions of people living inside our borders, inside the interior, inside every major city, and they've got no residency, no citizenship, no paperwork, and they have no legal standing to be here. And obviously that is the problem. When we talk about deportations, we're talking about rounding all these people up and shipping them back. We shouldn't have all these illegal aliens inside the country. They should be picked up and kicked out. That's an interior removal. But there's another category that is classified under DHS and their statistics as a deportation. It is called a border return. And a return is when an illegal alien, which in this case would actually really just be a foreign national, let's say you live in Guatemala, you live in Honduras, you make the journey up through Mexico, you arrive at our southern border, and at that point, you're a foreign national. You're a citizen of Guatemala. You're a citizen of Honduras. You emigrated. You surrender at a port of entry at the U.S. border. Border Patrol, rather than ICE, will pick you up and turn you away. You show up, either you're caught jumping the fence or you surrender at a port of entry. Either way, Border Patrol apprehends you and they send you back to where you came from. They pick you up and they say, nope, you gotta go. And this happens immediately. A border jumper will arrive at the border, Border Patrol picks them up and sends them back. Get out. Interior removal, return at the border. One is enforced by ICE inside the interior and really is a deportation. The other is enforced by Border Patrol and it happens at the border. And we would just call that border enforcement. That's just having a border. Well, under the Obama administration, they just combined those statistics and called all of those deportations. And what started to happen is that as the Obama administration went on, they removed fewer and fewer people and they returned more and more. So the number of deportations remained relatively constant. They actually called Obama the deporter-in-chief. He got a lot of credit for being relatively conservative on the border, but that's because they were cooking the books. Obama had a very lax border policy, which attracted a lot of illegal immigration, and so they were turning away a ton of people. And every person they turned away, of which there were many, they added to this category of deportations. And so on paper, it said we have a ton of deportations. In reality, they weren't removing anybody from the country. We just had a very bad problem at the border. And many people were getting in, and many people were being turned away at the same time. Now, as this article says, under the Obama administration, and even now, many Republicans would say you're cooking the books. You're manipulating the statistics. You're deliberately creating this category error so that you can inflate the number of deportations. And that way it looks like you're a lot stronger on the border than you really are. Well, now the Trump administration, they're openly telling us they are doing the exact same thing. So think about it. In April, they tell us we have 442,000 deportations for fiscal year 2025. But that number, even according to their own website, includes removals and returns. Now, I want you to keep something in mind. There are still, under the Trump administration, thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of apprehensions at the southern border every single month. So even if you conservatively say that there are 10 to 15,000 apprehensions at the southern border every single month, even though that's a 90% reduction from the Biden administration, if you just do the math, that's like 100,000 to 200,000 returns every year. If you're including those apprehensions and returns at the southern border in your deportation statistics, then you've inflated the number by 100%. If you follow. Under the Biden administration, there were 100,000, 200,000 apprehensions at the border every single month. To his credit, Trump got that down to about 7,000 at the lowest, maybe 20,000 at the highest every month. It's a drastic reduction. However, if you are including those numbers in the deportation statistics, you are significantly padding the number of deportations that you're claiming, maybe by double. So if they say there's 442,000 deportations in April, realistically, that might include 200,000 people turned away at the border and 200,000 people that were actually arrested inside the United States and removed, which, by the way, would give credence to the original figure, which is that we might have only deported 230,000 people in the entire year, which, if you're following, is nowhere near the 1 million that was promised. And that's not even close. That's 10% of the 2.5 million that you would need to get 10 million people out in 4 years. And they're not even hiding it. They're openly telling us, they're lying to our faces in the exact same way that the Obama administration did. Now, take it further. So in 2025, we deported, let's say, 200,000 people, maybe 300,000 at the most. How about in 2026? Well, let's see. ICE has actually scaled back its enforcement operations. What the Republican Party told us throughout January, February, and March is that they're actually winding all of this down. The deputy chief of staff in the White House told the entire Republican conference at the Trump Doral at their annual retreat, he said, we're not even going to use the words mass deportations anymore. That's over. Susie Wiles went to the press and said, we're recalibrating. We're not focused on that anymore. The president, Tom Homan, and the new Secretary of DHS have all said, we're not focused on deporting illegal aliens that have jobs, people that have been here 20 years. They said the only thing we're focused on now is deporting those criminal, violent illegal aliens that are convicted of crimes or that have a arrest warrant out for them. But even if you counted up every single violent, criminal, illegal alien, that's only about 1 million people. The new DHS secretary says they're no longer doing these big surge operations like they did in Minneapolis and Chicago and LA and New York. They have ICE wearing body cams. They stopped doing patrols in the streets. They stopped going into people's houses. They've stopped asking people if they have citizenship. So ask yourself this. If in 2025, ICE only deported 200,000 people, 300,000 at the most, then that was under an explicit policy of mass deportations with no oversight, surges, patrols, raids, going into people's houses, all the rest of it. How are we going to get more deportations in 2026 when you don't have any of that? You no longer have a commitment from the president, chief of staff, DHS secretary, or border czar that we're even doing mass deportations. The policy, as stated by the admin, has changed. It was mass deportations. It isn't anymore. In 2025, Trump, Homan, Wiles, and Noem all said it's mass deportations. To that end, they said, we're coming into Chicago. And what are we doing in Chicago? Patrols. We're looking for people in Pilsen. We're looking for people in Little Village. And we're going to go into their houses. And we're going to ask them if they speak English. And if they don't, we're picking them up. And we're sending them to a detention center. And we're not wearing body cams. So if we beat the fuck out of them, well, maybe that's just what has to happen. Those were the policies that got us to 300,000. In 2026, Trump, the new DHS secretary, Tom Homan, and Susie Wiles all say, no, we're giving up on that. No, we don't want mass deportations anymore. And we're not surging in the cities. No more patrols. Put your body cams on. Don't kick their asses. Don't kill the protesters anymore. Don't rile anybody up. How are you going to get more this year than you did last year? And there are some people, here's another aspect of this. Some people say, well, the Trump administration is only saying they're not doing mass deportations, but in reality, they're still carrying out those policies. Well, let me ask you this. Last year, when the administration deported 200,000 people, we saw the deportations. What do I mean by that? We saw ICE and Border Patrol everywhere. You saw them, I saw them. I remember in my Ring community app on Nextdoor, on all those community social media apps, everybody was saying all the time, watch out for ICE, watch out for Border Patrol. It was on social media. They were marching down the streets, dragging people out of their cars. In other words, it was visible and everybody noticed. And that is why these left-wing activists were mobilized, because it was happening in their communities. It was happening in the big cities. So they got out there to obstruct these operations, record them, try to interfere in them using their vehicles or trying to get in the middle of these apprehensions. How are you going to deport as many people, or twice as many, 3 times as many, and nobody's going to notice? Last year, everybody noticed. So if we were deporting the same number of people, you would suspect we would notice it just as much. If we were deporting 2 or 3 times as many people, which is to say 400,000 or 600,000 people, well, how could we not see it at that point? That's an impossibility. The unignorable reality is that mass deportations did not happen last year, and they're not happening this year. And I got a news flash for you. They are not going to happen next year. They are not going to happen in 2028. Would you like to know why? Because what just happened in Congress? What just happened is that the Democrats, using their mere 7 seats in the Senate, shut down a funding bill for DHS. And so they defunded the TSA, the Coast Guard, all these other agencies under Homeland Security, unless the White House agreed to put all these restrictions on ICE operations, including new rules of engagement, body cameras, that they're not going to carry out the patrols, basically all the things they already stopped doing. And so, in other words, if the Democrats could prevent the normal functioning of government in order to obstruct ICE operations with a minority in the Senate, what do you think they're going to be able to do with a majority in the House and possibly a majority in the Senate? On January 5, 2027, a new Congress will be inaugurated. A new Congress will be seated. You're going to have a Democrat majority in the House. You might have a Democrat majority in the Senate. Trump administration is going to need approval on all these new spending bills, all these new omnibus bills. They're going to need appropriations to fund their military, all their other priorities. I'm once again going to predict the future. Would you like to look into my crystal ball? What is going to happen next year, it will happen in the fall and then it'll happen in the spring, is appropriations are going to run out. Trump will need to come to the Democrat House and say, I need my budget. I need my appropriations. I need money to fund the departments and agencies of the federal government. And you know what the House Democrat leadership is going to say? Speaker Hakeem Jeffries is going to tell the administration, we are going to defund DHS. We're going to defund ICE. We're going to include all these stipulations that hamstring ICE operations. And if Republicans in the Senate don't agree to pass it, if you don't agree to sign on to the legislation, well, then we're going to defund the government. And there might be a government shutdown over this. And in the end, the White House is going to walk away. They're going to agree to all these stipulations. And why are the Republicans going to be into that? I'm going to tell you why. Because the Democrats will be doing the Republicans a favor. Republicans do not want mass deportations for two reasons. If you have millions and millions of illegal aliens being deported, then you're going to have a massive increase in labor cost. You're going to have a big depression in demand, in aggregate demand. Let's say you deport 3 million illegal aliens. You know what illegal aliens do? They buy stuff. They buy cars. They buy fuel. They buy food. They take vacations. They buy everything that everybody else buys. They have Netflix subscriptions. They buy stuff. They have demand for housing and rental units. If you deport 3 million people, that's 3 million fewer consumers.
It's a lot of business.
And so you have less demand.
They're not doing it.
But those illegal aliens also have jobs, and they do them for cheap, and they do them under the table. They do all the landscaping. They are the maids. They do all of the trade work. So they are the electricians, they are the carpenters, they are the painters. And by the way, that is kind of what supports the entire economy. The municipal and local governments, they need contractors, they need inspectors, they need these kinds of people. Every business, every private sector, commercial business and government, they're hiring landscapers, they're hiring maids and cleaners and janitors. Where are they going to find all these replacements? Well, they're going to need to pay Americans a living wage. And they're going to need to provide health care, and they're going to need to comply with OSHA, and they're going to need to pay payroll taxes and all the rest of it. So what is this going to do? Well, it's going to eat into profits, and it's going to eat into aggregate demand. It's going to eat into consumer spending. And what all this points to is a slowdown in economic growth. Lack of profits for investment, lack of consumption, which is growth. That's how GDP is calculated. So Wall Street does not want mass deportations because they don't want to pay a labor force more. The municipal government doesn't want to pay more for they need these people. The banks, the asset managers, anybody that owns any kind of appreciating assets in this country, they don't want to see that happen. Anybody that owns real estate, any landlord, they don't want to see a depression in the demand for rental units. So the Republicans, at the behest of Wall Street and agriculture and the Chamber of Commerce and the rest of them, they don't want to get rid of all these consumers and producers. Simultaneously, if the Trump administration is deporting all these Hispanics, that is going to crater their support with Latino voters in the 2028 election. And they know that. That's why they're telling Republicans don't talk about deportations, because they're underwater with Hispanic males, and they know that's going to be a big problem for them even in 2026. So if you're looking into the crystal ball, you didn't get deportations last year. You're not getting them this year. And if you think that all we need to do is vote for them one more time, and then we're going to surely get them next year or in 2028, let me just spoil it for you. You're not going to get them next year or the year after that either. There is zero chance you're going to get them in the next 2 years if you didn't get them in the first 2 years. But this is how they keep people hooked. Don't you see it? In 2024, Trump said mass deportations. And do you remember every Republican told us the only overriding reason we must vote for Trump is for those mass deportations? They said if for no other reason, you must vote for Trump because the alternative is the Democrats are going to import millions of people and Trump.
Bro, I've been told this same thing like 1,000 times. I was literally just replying to this. You're literally the one that's Israel first. You're handing them wins for the team that's entire platform is Israel's goals for the U.S. You're being duped, my guy, possibly even bamboozled. Like, it's fucking absurd, man.
Is going to send them back. And so they branded everybody that didn't support Trump as a traitor to the immigration restriction agenda.
Fuck Trump, man.
They said, look, immigration, that's all that matters. Israel, don't care. Iran, don't care. Miriam Adelson and Tim Mellon and Elon Musk and H-1Bs and little tech don't care. Trump said staple green cards to diplomas, doesn't matter. They said immigration. They said you must vote for Trump because immigration's the most important issue. Trump is going to deport millions of illegals. And so that's I can overlook everything else because of that. And what happened? Well, in the first few weeks, the deportations were not going on. So what did we hear? Well, the Trump defender said, give them 6 months. They don't have the money. They don't have the personnel. They don't have the infrastructure. Remember? When Trump got in February, March, April, May, there were no deportations.
You know, and think about this. You know what sanctuary cities, you know what that is? That's a big billboard saying, hey, illegals, come here. Patronize our businesses. Buy our shit. Work in our stores. Work in our fucking daycares. Spend your money here. Sanctuary cities aren't about empathy and giving sanctuary to foreigners and people that are down on their luck. It's literally about raping them as consumers. That's America. It's like they're fighting over the consumers that they get to rape and steal from and kill with fucking poison food. It's incredible. These fucking immigrants are so stupid. They just waltz right in there thinking that they're being welcomed to heaven or something. Like, bro, they're fucking tricking you into going to hell, bro. Are you fucking retarded? You should have never left your country.
And people said, hey, so what's going on? When does the golden age begin? And the Trump defenders said, well, it's only been a day. It's only been a week. It's only been a month. It's only been 3 months. Well, you got to be fair. They have to fix DHS.
Tricking you into going.
They don't have the funding. They don't have the personnel. The personnel do not have the proper training. They don't have the detention space.
Literally just replying to this.
So what did they do? They pushed this one big beautiful bill. Remember? They pushed this monstrosity of a bill. It's going to add trillions to the deficit in the next 5 years. What this was really about was making the corporate tax cut permanent.
Absurd, man.
A moratorium on AI regulation, among other things, but the big thing was cutting the corporate tax rate permanently. And what they threw into the big beautiful bill was $90 billion for ICE. Israel, don't care. Iran, and so don't care. That time they were telling people, you have to support Trump's big beautiful bill because it's got money for immigration. Isn't this why they say Thomas Massey had to lose? Doesn't matter. Thomas Massey voted against this bill. And so Stephen Miller and Randy Fine and the rest of them said, Massey voted against our border security package. He voted against our mass deportation bill. You must support the passage of one big beautiful bill because it has immigration money. It's not really about the corporate tax cut. It's about the money. So what did we hear? Okay, here's your bill. You won the election. 6 months later, here's your bill. They don't have the money. Well, June, July, August, September, October, November goes by. Still no deportations. People say, so what gives? March, April, May. Well, they told us there were no deportations. It's going to take 6 months for the money to kick in.
You know what sanctuary cities?
It's actually going to take months for the money in the big beautiful bill to actually kick in at DHS. And then we got to hire the ICE agents. We got to buy the detention facilities. We got to train the ICE agents.
Here.
You go, okay.
Sanctuary cities aren't about empathy.
Well,
and
the 6
giving
months have gone by. It's
sanctuary to
December, January,
foreigners, and
February.
people
Now
are
what?
down
Where's our
on their luck. It's
deportations?
literally
They
about
say, well, it's
raping
just
them
too
as
unpopular.
consumers.
Because
That's
you see, here's the
America.
thing. We
It's
got
like
a midterm
they're
election
fighting
coming
over
up in 10
the
months.
consumers that
And
they
this
get
is
to
a
rape
bloodbath.
and steal
There,
from
we have
and
2
kill
dead
with
protesters.
fucking poisoned
We're
food.
underwater with
It's
Hispanic
incredible.
males. Mass
These fucking
deportations
immigrants are
aren't
so
polling well
stupid. They just
anymore. If
waltz
you look
right
at the
in there
opinion
thinking that
surveys,
they're being
nobody supports
welcomed
this
to heaven
policy.
or
It's
something.
getting
Like,
ugly.
bro,
We're
they're
getting killed in the
fucking
media with this
tricking you
wall-to-wall
into going to
coverage
hell,
of these
bro.
civil rights
Are you
violations.
fucking
We
retarded?
lost Joe
You
Rogan.
should've
We
never
lost
left your
Tim Dillon.
country.
We lost Dave
And
Smith.
people said, hey,
we got to
so what's
shut the
going
whole
on?
thing down.
When does
the golden age begin? And the Trump
So
defenders
now it's
May of
said,
2026.
well, it's
and you
only
know what
been
they're
a day.
saying? They're saying,
only been a
well,
week.
you see, this is
It's
why
only
we got to
been a
vote
month.
for
It's
them
only
in the midterms, because once the election happens, then they won't have to worry
That's so
about the
weird.
upcoming election, and then they
My
can
bad,
really
guys.
do it. Tom Homan says the deportations are still coming next year.
Question
This is how
everything
they keep you on
8750
the
says,
hamster wheel.
audio
It's
loop
always 2
JT.
more weeks, 5 more weeks, 12 more weeks to slow the spread, 12 more weeks before a ceasefire in Iran, 12 more weeks before mass deportations. Am I wrong about this? Am I wrong about any of that? Think about that timeline. By the way, they were even telling us this in 2022. I'm old enough to remember in the 2022 midterms, that's when illegal immigration was the worst. In the first 2 to 3 years of Biden's term in office, in 21, 22, and 23, immigration was out of control. And Republicans campaigned in the 22 midterms saying, we're going to use our power to defund and audit the foreign aid to Ukraine. And we're going to use our power to get those J6 security tapes to exonerate the J6 defendants. And they said, we're going to get in and we're going to force a vote on border security. And we're going to make the Biden administration close the border. And they didn't do it. In 2023, they agreed to raise the debt ceiling indefinitely. No compromise on immigration. A year later, in 2024, there was a big impasse with the Democrats. They said, we're not going to approve any spending until we get border security. And then you know what happened? Israel came under attack from Iran, and Republicans said, you know what? We got to put immigration on the back burner. We need to focus on getting that $26 billion to Israel and another $100 billion to Ukraine. And then it was the 2024 election. Okay? How far you want to go? We could go back to 1986. You could go back to 1986. This has been the story every single year, every single cycle, with every single president, whether we are in the White House or not, whether we are in the opposition or not, whether however many chambers we control or ones we don't control. It literally never matters. And so this is what I'm trying to impress upon you and what I've been trying to say all along, which is they are making a choice. They are making a choice. If they were worried about inflation, they wouldn't go to war with Iran. If they were worried about the midterms, they wouldn't go to war with Iran. If it was about the money and all these things, well, why can't we do it now if we got $90 billion from the big, beautiful bill? They simply do not want to carry out mass deportations. The Republicans do not want to do this. Why? Because the Republican apparatus is controlled by Wall Street, the Chamber of Commerce, Little Tech, Silicon Valley, and the Israel lobby. And mass deportations is not something that any of those factions want or care about. And actually, most of them do not want mass deportations, or actually against them. This is why the Wall Street Journal runs editorials every week saying mass deportations are only going to hurt the economy. Jamie Dimon and Larry Fink, they go to the White House and tell Trump, no mass deportations, it will hurt the economy. The governor of Georgia calls up Trump and says, you got to stop deporting my Hyundai workers from South Korea. We need the business. Big Agriculture calls Brooke Rollins, the Secretary of Ag, and says, stop deporting my agricultural workers. We need H-2A visas for them. And Brooke Rollins taps the president on the shoulder and says, yeah, it's a no-go. You can't deport these people. So you need to recognize that Trump and the GOP, these guys are not on our side. They're not looking out for us. They're not even ideologically aligned with us. There is this idea, which is so poisonous and toxic, which is people say something like, our guys are in power. The posters are in control. They'll see DHS post something on Twitter that is based. They say the word remigration. And people say, see, that goes to show we have friendlies on the inside working on our behalf, and this is better than what we're getting otherwise. And it is not. You think that you are tricking the billionaires into supporting your white nationalist GOP that is going to get in and deport all the illegals by virtue of the fact that they aren't white, when in reality, the bankers in Wall Street and Israel are tricking you into voting for their regime of Jews and Wall Street asset managers and Silicon Valley technocrats, thinking that, you're going to get the deportations that you want. It's the total inverse. So that's the situation with immigration. Here's the last thing I'll say about it. After they started winding down the deportations in February, you might remember it was this slow and painful process where every single week they would announce, we pulled another 1,000 ICE out of Minneapolis. We pulled another 1,000 Border Patrol out. We're winding the operation down. The operation's complete. It was so obvious that they were done, like they're finished with it. The Trump administration is not interested in doing this policy anymore. And I remember at that time, they announced this executive order that the administration would start to target illegal aliens' access to banking services. There was some press release or some planted story. It said the administration was looking into an executive order that would bar illegal aliens from opening a checking account without their citizenship papers. And I remember, as the Trump administration was in real life tangibly ending mass deportations, you had Trump defenders on the timeline saying, yeah, but in the future, we're going to get this policy that will lead to self-deportations. And this is a theme. This is a pattern. What do we want the deportations to look like? We want ICE. We want big guys with guns in uniforms to find illegals, physically apprehend them, put them on planes, and send them out of our country. And they can do that. They have the money and the authority and the jurisdiction to do this. And that is what we want them to do. And if they're doing a lot of that, probably many of them will flee on their own. Well, in reality, they're winding that down. They're telling us you're going to get a lot less of that. That's over. Now, you should be protesting that. If you support the policy, you should be out there expressing your discontent and saying, whoa, that wasn't the deal. Why are you giving up? No, we want armed big men in uniform apprehending illegals and getting rid of them. Like, no, you can't wind this down. You need to ramp it up, actually. But as the policy was being wound down in real life, people were telling us, no, it's okay. No, this is not a disaster. This is fine, because we will get an executive order in the future, which in an indirect way is going to make it uncomfortable for illegals to live here. And we were supposed to be satisfied with this. The thing that is happening, the direct deportation policy that is happening, that we were promised, that we were getting, is now being taken away. And we're being told we should accept this because there's a theoretical offer on the table in the future where, we're going to do this thing and it's going to be a backdoor way at getting them to leave eventually. And we were expected to say, oh, well, that's the administration being smart. That's five-dimensional chess. That's them playing politics. That's them being serious. Well, here we are in the future, in our promised future, and our theoretical executive order has become real. So they rolled this executive order out last week. Semaphore was able to obtain the draft of the executive order. And do you know what it says? Well, it turns out the whole thing was bullshit. They didn't say that illegal aliens can't get a bank account. They're not asking the banks to request citizenship information. You know what the executive order says now? It's advising banks to be extra careful about red flags that might indicate payroll fraud. That's all it does. This is the story from Axios. It says, quote, non-citizens in the United States will face greater scrutiny on their banking activities following an executive order by President Trump on Tuesday, but the order was less extensive than a previous proposal floated by Treasury requiring banks to collect clients' citizenship information. The order directs the Treasury Secretary to issue an advisory to banks to identify red flags tied to payroll tax evasion, concealment of true account ownership, off-the-books wage payments, labor trafficking, and the use of individual taxpayer identification numbers to open accounts or obtain credit without verified legal presence in the United States. So the actual operative clause here is it's an advisory to identify red flags tied to payroll tax evasion. You got that? So the Treasury Department is telling banks, hey guys, just a reminder, be on the lookout for illegal activity. Thanks. It says Trump had earlier announced he would issue an order requiring banks to collect data on customer citizenship or immigration status. Banks considered that checking the immigration status and citizenship of all clients would be burdensome and nearly impossible. So they gave up on it. You see, this is what they do to us. And this is where you go to someone like Steven Crowder and you try to get it through to somebody like that or your boomer relatives or your coworkers and say, look, like we're not getting the central thing that we were promised. This is the overriding, most important issue that was sold to us as maybe the exclusive reason that you cannot not vote for Trump. And we're not getting it. They don't want to deliver it. They're not trying to deliver it. They could, but they refuse to. And we are being told every day and every week, we're being given this little rhetorical bag of tricks where they say 3 million deportations. And you go, no, it's 200,000. And they say, yeah, but there's 2.8 million self-deportations. And you say, really? So 80% of the deportations are not even real deportations? Where does that number come from? And they say, well, it's an estimate from this survey done by the census. And you go, that number sounds fake. I don't feel like there's 3 million fewer illegals here. That's not what ICE says. And they go, oh, so you don't believe the numbers. Oh, well, you only believe some numbers and not the others. You say it looks like the administration is backing down on the deportations. Looks like they're giving up. And they go, no, they're not giving up. They're not leaving Minneapolis. They're just like negotiating a deal with the government of Minnesota and Minneapolis where it's actually a huge victory because now Minneapolis prisons are going to turn over illegals that have committed violent crimes to ICE. So it's actually a win. And you go, really? I feel like the win would be just rounding them all up and kicking them all out. And they go, yeah, but you see, here's this executive order. They're going to ban them from having bank accounts. It's really strategic. You see, we are in a midterm election. So if we were just rounding them up, that would look really bad. This is like 5D chess. If we ban them from having banks, they'll quietly leave. And then 3 months go by and you're like, yeah, that didn't happen. That never happened. That executive order was canceled. They didn't do it because they said it was too hard. And those people are already on to the next thing, already on to the next excuse. And it's sort of like what Hitler said about arguing with Jews. You ever hear that quote? Or was it Goebbels? It's like you make this argument with these people, they just fight and fight, even if you get them to admit it isn't happening. You come back the next day, it's as if you never had that argument. You come back the next day, it's a different excuse. Well, you see, it's only been 1 week. It's only been 1 month. Well, we just need the money. Okay, we have the money, but we don't have the personnel. Okay, we have the money and the personnel, but now it's an election. We have this executive order. Around and around and around it goes. And then they tell us, well, it's good enough. And then in the end, they say, well, at least we're getting anything. They say at least it's better than the Democrats, because the Democrats would have brought in 10 million more people. And you go, so are we just going to play this game forever? Like the Democrats bring in 10 million people, and then, we bring in like 2 million. And then the Democrats bring in 10 million people, and then we slow it down for a little while. And you want to say, okay, so at what point do we actually make any progress? You don't seem to understand. We're not making progress. We're just slowing the rate of decline. Those 10 million illegals from Biden are still here. 10 years after Trump ran for office, there's probably like 20 million more illegals. Do you know how crazy that is? Like, think about that. Literally a decade ago, when I was in high school, Trump ran for office saying, we have too many illegal aliens here. The border is wide open. We need a president who is radical that will just build a fucking wall and get these people out of here. 10 years later, there are 20 million more illegals than when we started. It's worse. It's much worse. There were millions of illegals that came in under Trump, and then there were like 5 times as many more that came in under Biden, and now they refuse to take them out. They refuse to get them out of the country. So illegal immigration was already so bad 10 years ago that the country elected Trump to like build a wall. And now there's 20 million more than there were before. And by the way, all those people that were here before, they all have kids. So their kids are now 18 and they're citizens and they're voting in elections. And the people that came in under Biden, if they are not deported, well, they will be here too. And in 10 years, their kids will be citizens and they will be voting too. Are you starting to see the problem? So year after year on net, we're still losing. Even you can say all day long, well, if the Democrats got in, it would have been worse. At least we're getting something. Okay, but if we're not making progress on net, then we're kind of just wasting everyone's time. What we're really doing is just retarding the rate of decline. That's all that is happening. If you don't deport those 10 million people, then they're never going anywhere, and they're effectively amnestied. And guess what else? Okay, so let's say an illegal alien gets in the country in 2022. In 2026 or 25, it's very easy to say, okay, look, you came in here when the border was open. It was a jailbreak. You've only been here for 2 years. You got to go now. Like, that's very, am I wrong? If an illegal alien from Venezuela comes here in 2023 and we come in 2025 and we say, all right, you took advantage of the jailbreak. Everybody was coming in. You've only been here 2 years. You haven't put down roots. You got to go. Everybody would get behind that. Everybody would say that's reasonable. It's not like it's a football game where you get in the end zone and you get the points no matter what. Okay, well, he made it in. Now he's safe. Look, you're not one of these people that's been here for 50 years and has a job and your kids are in school. You just got lucky. You got to go. Okay, well, what happens when it's 2029 and a Democratic president is inaugurated? And then it's 2033 and the next Republican president is inaugurated. Are we going to be able to go to that same guy that got there 10 years earlier and say, hey, man, you came in under Biden 10 years ago. Now you got to go. They're going to treat those people in the future like we treat these illegals that have been here 20 years now. They're never going back. and they're going to have kids, and they're going to put down roots, and they're going to be a part of the country forever. So the premise of the Trump revolution was never, hey, it's not going to be 10 million illegals additional. The whole approach was we're going to get them all out, because that's what you have to do. We have to get them out. We have to build a wall so they can't come back in. And you build a wall because the Democrat can't tear the wall down. So they're not going to be able to get in forever. But if you don't do that, then what's the fucking point? If you don't build the wall and you don't remove the people, then what are we doing? We're just kind of like stabilizing it for 4 years? What's even the point? So this is why I'm only in favor of radical politics. I'm not in favor of doing this every time. We're going to hope Kevin McCarthy will deport illegals. It doesn't even make sense. We're going to vote for Trump and hope that he does what he refused to do in the first term. Why would it be any different? I think you need somebody, a true outsider, who actually is going to just be a true radical and is going to do the deportations. They're just going to ignore Wall Street. They're going to take the economic hit. If they lose the midterms, so be it. They're just going to fucking do it. And short of that, like, why even bother? And this is a serious question. If you don't elect somebody that's actually going to do it, why would we even bother? At that point, just take the L. If you can't do the deportations, then why even promise them? Just say, you know what? It is what it is. They're going to be here. And let's just work on a different project.
Basically, that's what it comes down to.
Let's find some other way to improve quality of life. If you're admitting it's over, if you're surrendering on the issue, why would we lose all the political capital killing protesters and doing these big offensive?
We just need to find something else, some other way to bring about change, something else to focus on, because he's fucking right, man. We're up against a brick wall here. This is intransigent. We can't force the government to do this. Like, we may as well just let it go, man. Being a dog with a bone is not going to get us anywhere on this one.
Sensational raids that just lose voters. Why not just say, you know what, whatever, and just use the political capital for something else? But you got to pick a lane. You can't, we kind of have the worst of both worlds, where Republicans are losing popularity because people think we're doing them, but we don't get the benefit of actually doing the deportations. So I would have preferred if they just said, you know what, yeah, it's over. That's not going to happen, but here's our solution. We're going to implement E-Verify, or, I don't know, we're going to have the Civil Rights Act repealed. We're going to let white people live away from them. I don't know. There's got to be some alternative. Or you got to actually follow through. So this is your mass deportation calamity. I told you it would be like this. I told you this in 2024. And the only reason I like to remind you of that, it's not because it's all about me, like Tucker and the rest of them say. The only reason I'm telling you this is because you need to understand how politics works so that you can actually fight in favor of your own self-interest.
And achieve
And what
change.
I mean by that is
get something
a
done.
lot of people were tricked into supporting Trump because they believed that we would get this policy. And they voted for this administration that is helping everyone else. This administration is helping Israel. It is helping AI. It
Not
is
us,
helping
not
Palantir
America.
and Wall Street and Anduril. Like, a lot of people are really, really happy with the Trump administration. It's just not any of us. There are a lot of people that could not be happier. Look at Wall Street. I mean, it's all-time records in the stock market. Look at AI. AI has their foot in the door in the White House. Look at little tech. Palantir is in all these different agencies and departments. They're happy. Look at Palantir's valuation right now. It's way higher than it was before Trump took office. So some people are very, very happy. We are not. And you voted to make those people happy because you were tricked. So the reason I say, yeah, I told you so, I predicted this, is because I want us to do things that actually get us what we want. Vote in a certain way, do activism a certain way that it actually results in we get our policy priorities, we get some concessions, we get something out of the deal. But if you keep getting suckered into voting in exchange for nothing, you will never get anything. And this is where we are right now. We are getting nothing. We're not getting no new wars. We're not getting mass deportations. We're not getting the Epstein files. We're not getting any free speech on the internet. We're not getting price stabilization. We're not getting cheaper houses, cheap gas, cheap groceries. We're not getting anything. We're not getting our enemies put in jail. We're not getting anything. The most you could say is we're not getting attacked. The most you could say is we're not actively being attacked by our enemies. That's it, but nothing is being done for us. So that's why we need to become politically conscious and start to push in a direction where the Republicans have to take us seriously. This is why I'm telling people don't vote in the midterms or vote Democrat. That's the language they will understand, because then they'll know in 28, oh, we need those people in our coalition. And the only way we're going to get them is if we actually give them real assurances, if we actually listen to them and get their personnel in and the rest of it. If we condition our support upon certain priorities, then they're going to know they need to follow through. It's as simple as that. But we're out of time, so we're going to skip Iran, I guess.
And people fucking hate this message because you're just supposed to keep pulling the lever. Keep putting them in office. That's your job. The Republicans look at you like you're crazy or evil. How dare you withhold your vote from us? We own you. Don't you know that, Republican? Don't you know that we own you, that we represent you? You're not allowed to put anybody else in office. You are our bitch. You are our political bitch. Lay down, conform. Vote for us. How dare you think that you have a choice? How fucking dare you think you have a choice?
We'll save that for tomorrow. In fairness, I already covered it on Telegram. But I think we might get into it a little bit tomorrow. But for now, we're going to move on. We're going to take a look at our super chats. We'll see what you guys have to say about all this. Let me get set up here. How's the mustache? Are people liking it? What do you think? The hair's a little bit too long right now.
Man, honestly, I feel bad for Nick. He has such an empty life that he spends a lot of time thinking about his hair, thinking about his facial hair, thinking about his jawline. What kind of a fucking life is that? It's pathetic, man. Congrats, Nick. You've got everything you ever wanted.
I think no beard is the move because when I have a beard, you can't see how hollow my cheeks are. You can't see how skinny my face. Like, why lose all the weight if you're just going to, hide it behind the beard? So I had to. I think, whether it's mustache or clean shaven, that's got to be the way. Yeah, look at that. Look at me. Look at that. Yeah, no, that's better. I can't believe how fat I was. I look at my streams from like October and I'm like, wow. I was fat. I was chubby. All right. Okay, we're going to move on. We will take a look at our super chats. We'll see what we got here. We got some big ones tonight. Okay, let's see.
Chimachungus sent $20. Since losing weight, you've had fewer hangry crash outs and ravenous food commentary. Food becomes an addiction.
You might be right about that. Yeah, you might be right about that, actually. Maybe I was addicted to food. I don't know, though. I feel like I'm just in a better mood in general, but there might be some truth to that.
White-ass nigga going al dente sent $20. You look great with or without beard. I like that you switch it up. Keeps us on our toes.
Thanks.
Candace Loves Nicholas sent $20. How do you feel about people who chew with their mouths open / smack / slurp / lick sauce off plates? Sloppy eaters, yay or nay?
Oh, I feel like that's got to be from somebody I know. There is nothing that bothers me more than that. Like, that is the easiest way to give me the ick. I have some people that I know that do that. And what do you even say? I was with somebody the other day. I was with a friend of mine. He's not going to appreciate this at all. He's not going to be happy. Not going to be happy that I said this. But I was with somebody the other day, and bro is literally smacking his lips, chewing like a horse. And I'm like glaring at him. I'm like, hey, man, would you please chew with your mouth closed? Please. And he gets all offended. He's like, well, I'm not going to talk anymore. Well, fine. I won't even talk. I'm like, come on. I mean, we're grown men now. We got to chew with our mouths closed. I was with my dad for Mother's Day with my family. Love my father, of course. But I saw my dad. I honestly was appalled. He licked the sauce off his fingers. I saw him. I was sort of like looking right through him. It was like one of those shots where they like zoom in, but they move the camera back. I was disoriented. I was like looking right through him. I was like, it was a betrayal. I couldn't believe it. And he's like, what? What's the problem? I'm like, did you just like lick that sauce off your finger? What are you doing? There is nothing that bothers me more than that. He's like, well, I didn't really. I'm like, we can't be doing that. So licking plates, licking fingers, smacking lips. We can't be doing all that. I don't think there's anything more disgusting. I don't think there's anything worse. I'm very sensitive to that. I'm very sensitive to chewing sounds, very sensitive to chewing with the mouth open. If I catch anybody with fingers in the mouth, I'm going to literally crash the fuck out. I remember my old assistant, he always used to bite his fingernails. And I'll never forget. He was in my living room one time and we were talking about something and he was chewing on his fingernails while I was talking to him. Like this. He was like, and I stopped what I was saying. I said, hey. I said, can you take your fingers out of your mouth when I'm talking to you, please? Thanks. And he got like so mad. He was so bent out of shape about that. That actually came up when we had a big falling out. I think that actually came up when we had this big crash out months later. But I can't. I just can't. You're going to have your fingers inside your mouth. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm talking to you. And he's got his fingers in his mouth, chewing his nails. I wanted to slap him. I wanted to give him a slap. He was bigger than me, would have kicked my ass, but like, it's like, please take your hands out of your mouth when I'm having a conversation with you. Do that somewhere else. You want to bite your fingernails? I think that's gross. People that have, you can always tell. You know what I'm talking about? Somebody that bites their fingernails, their fingertips are always red and raw, and their fingernails look like they're half eaten. I don't even want to shake your fucking hand. You know what I'm talking about? I know fingernail biters.
I'm not listening to anything.
And I don't even want to shake their hand. I'm like, get that fucking hand away from me. I don't know where that hand has been. I don't know where that mouth has been. That's just gross. It's very important to me that people have like well manicured hands. And I don't mean like you get a manicure, but I mean, it just says a lot about a person, I think. And if you're biting your nails like that, I think that's just repulsive. You're a disgusting human being. Because think about all the things you touch during the day. Think about all the doorknobs and escalator, railing, whatever, stair railing, shake people's hands, touch your phone screen, wipe your ass. And then you're just going to eat whatever is growing on your fingernails. It's just vile, disgusting. Should be a genocide. Should be an absolute genocide against those people. That's the only genocide I would support. People like that should be just fucking get them out of here. So it's a big problem for me. I don't like it.
Sent $100. NJF King of NY.
King of New York. Thank you for the big super chat. Appreciate it. It's true.
Vegas Roy %
They
$20.
love me there.
Today I agreed with Cenk Uygur. Who'da thunk? Trump really was the great unifier. America first PPL on both sides hate him.
Yeah, some truth to
Lamb
that.
sent $20. Wasn't asking about Herrera earlier. Just saying I can't vote for him since he isn't AF. Gonna vote blue.
Is he not? Once again, I don't know.
Cock-a-doodle-doo sent $20. Cock-a-doodle-doo.
All right.
Nefarious Grow Hyper sent $20. Next time use Tiki Tiki Funk in the intro, brother.
I don't know what that is, but thanks.
Titanium sent $1,000.
Yo, thank you for the huge super chat. It's great. There's been a lot of big super chats lately. It's crazy. And always with no message. I don't even know what to say. 07s, man. God bless you. 07s in the chat for Titanium. Thank you very much. That's just nuts. But hey, I'm not complaining. I really appreciate the support. We need it, man, because who knows? You never know what's going to happen. I got a bad feeling about it. I don't want to put that in the universe, but they're going for the super chats. They're coming for the clips. So we're kind of back in. We're preparing for hibernation again, but I really appreciate the support, man. God bless you.
Your Dane Grower sent $20. Great show as always, Nick. Shout out to it Retarded Groper and all my other Growipers on X. Loving my feed because of you guys.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Halo 7 sent $20. If Uncle Alex sent you methylene blue, would you try it?
You know, he did. He did send me methylene blue. He sent me the drops and the pills. I didn't take them. He's scaring me because whenever he does the advertisement, he goes, you know, we have the best, blah, blah, blah. We have the best. And he says, like, they actually work. It's not like vitamins where it's questionable if they even have any effect at all, so it just doesn't even matter. You just piss it out. But the methylene blue kind of scares me. It turns your brain blue. It turns your bones blue. I don't know if I can get on board with that.
Mark sent $1,000. Shout out to the mods, devs, curators, and clippers.
Yes, big shout out. Wouldn't be the same without them. We need the clippers. We need the devs, mods, everybody. So I appreciate the huge super chat. Thank you very much, man. God bless, buddy. Appreciate all the support. 07s for Mark, please.
C.Money sent $25. You hinted at it on Alex Jones. It would be cool to see a new format to accommodate guests and to do interviews your way.
I know, and we are thinking about that. We're looking at that very powerfully and very strongly.
Check Roy Pat sent $20. Ever since I found out you only weigh 126 pounds, I can't get rid of the desire to bake you a tray of cookies.
See, the girls like it. I think they love a skinny king. Now, they don't like a short, skinny king. They actually hate that. They actually fucking hate that.
Good shot.
But I do think girls like tall, skinny guys.
That's the highlight of
That's
my
what
day.
I've noticed. I think it's a cope. I think the ultimate that women find attractive is pretty boys that are tall and skinny, and everybody else can fucking die. Everybody else can just die. They like skinny, but they need you to be tall. And you could be muscular and short. You could be skinny and short. They just want you to like go somewhere else and commit suicide in a way that doesn't bother anybody. They want you to go somewhere else where you won't be discovered, where you won't like make a noise. It's not a burden. And they want you to just cease being alive. Skinny, fat, muscular, doesn't matter. Rich, poor. No, but hey, I wish someone would make me some cookies. I haven't had a cookie since 2009.
Alexandria sent $20. Love your show, but can we stop with the AI slop/taxi driver posting? It's giving MAGA, uncool and cringe.
Well, I like it.
Bryant Fulgham sent $20. They're attacking me for being gay like holy shit, it's 2026, not 1950, like that's the worst thing in the world. I'll take it.
Okay, so I don't know, what are we going for here? You're saying you are gay? Yeah, I don't know what, I'm not sure what the vibe is with that one, but yeah, like, we're bringing back the 50s, so sort of like we're not progressive in that way, really.
Complacent Wagey sent $30. I like your take on American colonialism yesterday. They want to come to US so badly, why not bring the US to them instead? Cool face emoji.
Exactly.
Hilton sent $100.
Exactly. Thank you for the big super chat.
Los
No
Angeles sent
message, appreciate
$200.
it.
Follow up on last night's super chat about the Grower poll conducted by DPSI. I noticed you saw the 7.8% self-identified Growipers number. The other number we are putting out now is 13.4%
Really?
approval rating for Nick Fuentes nationwide among likely voters. America
No
first is
way!
inevitable.
13% approval? That's very low, though. 8% support is good. 13% approval, it's like, wow, dude, everyone hates me. Well, I appreciate the big super chat. 13% approval. I'll take it. I'll
Marla
take
Rose
it.
Flying Phone sent $100. Nick says $100 million just like Joe Pesci in Casino. That's the pure Chicago accent coming through.
Well, how do I say it? $100 million? Isn't that, I'm just saying it like anyone would say it. How does he say it? You know what was funny about that movie? That's one of my favorite movies of all time. And recently I just had this weird, like, God wink moment. I was at this restaurant and I was with a friend of mine, and the manager came out and said, hey, I know who you are. I'm like, here we go. And he goes, would you like to go to the private room? Would you like a private dining experience? I said, yeah, absolutely. So he takes us to the private dining area. And you know what movie was on the TV? Casino. I was like, this is like a sign from the universe. Am I reading too much into that? I feel like I read too much into everything. But that happened. I was like, no way. This is such a weird coincidence. But yeah. How do I say $100 million?
Grow percent $50. Well, maybe if you also start eating clean, you would sleep better.
Dude, shut up.
Grow percent $50. I thought we were trolls. Wishing you continued success.
Hey, thanks a lot. I don't want to hear that eating clean. Eating clean is just one of those sentences that it just doesn't mean anything. It's all food. What does that mean, eating clean? Eating clean. Like, what am I going to eat? Like a bushel of hay? A bushel of lettuce or something? When I imagine eating clean, I imagine like a charcuterie board or like one of those party trays of vegetables and ranch. Fuck you. Maybe if you start eating clean, you would sleep better. Maybe fucking mind your own business and shut up.
Prodigal Grow percent $20.
Try that.
Check out Clash with Students for Life at Pusa with Jeff Durbin exposes Pusa using pro-life for political gain. Love the merch.
I will check that out. There's other reasons I can't sleep. People always say, oh, you can't sleep because of your diet. I'm just like a tortured individual. I'm a nocturnal, melancholic, brooding person. People say, you just need to get your sleep right. It's like, that's the whole problem. Like, that's the whole problem. Don't you understand? People say if you just got your sleep right, then you'd feel better. It's like, but I need to feel better to get my sleep right. Don't you understand? I saw Dasha tweeted something about that, and it was so genius that I wish I tweeted it. Somebody tweeted, oh, here's how you could stop being depressed. Go to sleep on time and eat bananas and take vitamin K and do this and do that and walk 30 minutes a day and do your exercise and put down the phone and blah, blah, blah. And she goes, well, what if I'm too depressed to do any of that? And I'm like, bitch, so true. Like, exactly. You have these like, I have these like chads in my life. I know all these chads and they're like, hey, listen, little bro, you just need to like go to the gym and like get your 8 hours. I know that's what everyone says, but it's so important. And I'm like, I know that. I know what I need to do. I can't. So, can anybody relate to that? Because I feel like they're just talking past us. These well-adjusted people, these people are not yearners. All these people, they don't yearn. They're not yearning. They don't wake up and think about their dreams. They're not like that. And you have all these people out there, they're like, I don't know, I just do my food prep on Sunday and then I go to sleep at 10 o'clock every night and then I hit my, what are those stupid fucking indoor bikes everybody has? I hit my Peloton for 20 minutes. It's like, well, I don't really feel like getting out of bed right now. I don't feel like getting out of bed and eating a carrot and getting on a Peloton because I'm not a rabbit. I'm a human being. People, dubious at best. They say, yeah, man, you just got to wake up at 6 a.m. Trust me, you're going to feel a lot better. You got to get out of bed and get moving. Get that body moving and eat clean. It's like, well, I don't feel like eating clean. My life is sad enough. I don't want to eat vegetables for dinner, rice and grilled chicken. I'm going to need a little bit more than that to take the edge off. I'm going to be getting a scooper and scooping rice and grilled meat out of a glass container from the fridge and heating it up. Why don't I just kill everybody and go to jail at that point? Why don't I just go to prison? At least then I'd have a story to tell. Yeah. So I can't, I won't do it. I have to live a certain way. I'm a big believer in we have to say yes to life. And sometimes that means saying yes to being awake all night and going on a walk. Sometimes that means saying yes to waking up and not getting out of bed. And sometimes that means we're just going to, drink a cappuccino and live a certain way. We have to live a certain way. We can't, there's something like, this is what I wanted to find when I was in Italy. I wanted to find a more, I don't know, like enriching existence. I feel like here, everybody's too into the self-help stuff. They just treat us like we're supposed to be machines or something. It's like CrossFit and meal prep and self-improvement and strength training. It's like, what am I training for? I'm not a horse. Eat clean. What, like I'm cattle? I'm a grass-fed. They want me to be a grass-fed human being. They want me to be like a prize-winning racehorse. It's like, well, what if I feel like eating dessert today? What if I feel like just drinking coffee and thinking about things, So anyway, and that's me. What was the question again? Somebody said if you eat clean, you'd sleep better. No, I don't think I would. I think that would just make me more miserable, actually. I see what these people eat. My buddy, that's all he eats is chicken and rice. Chicken and rice. Bullshit. I can't do that. So anyway. So that's what that was a genius. Honestly, W. Dasha for an all-time classic. Can somebody link that to me? Maybe you can link that to me. Because I got to show some love. That was an all-timer. That was one of those rare tweets that just cut through all the nonsense in that conversation. Hey, man, you just got to go to sleep every night. It's like, isn't that sort of the problem?
Diddy Sprinkles sent $200. No message.
Thank you for the big super chat. Appreciate it. Titty Sprinkles, big
Pearl White
supporter.
Jesus sent $20. I'm an online activist fighting for whites, but I worship a Hebrew.
Holy low IQ.
Indiana Catholic sent $20. What do you think of John McKendy as a potential candidate for 2028? Apparently he took money from Teal.
I think it's very interesting. I like his story because I know a little bit about him, and I know that in 2020, he was the guy that came in at PPO to clean up the personnel. That's a little archaic lore for you. His story is that in 2015, he tried to get on the Trump campaign and they wouldn't get back to him. And basically he just begged them and said, let me just come and do phone banking. And he worked his way up the campaign, became the body man for the president, got kicked out. And then he actually got brought back in 2020 in January to clean up house at the personnel office at PPO. And he actually did a really good job. If you read anything about this guy, it's pretty unbelievable. He said that, or they said about him that they were doing these loyalty tests. If you Google him, you'll find that when he was running PPO, they were filtering people by saying, like, are you loyal to the president's agenda? Are you America first? If not, you're fired. So, could be interesting.
Basef sent $20. Important for interpreting the survey results. Most of the Grow-Wipers approved of Trump's handling on the Epstein files.
Is that true? I don't know if that's true.
Henry Welder sent $177.
I don't believe that.
First chat. Been watching for a year. Love the content. Wish I found you and your prophetic analyses before I voted for Trump. AF will conquer and show everyone how to manage our country properly. We will overcome. What can I do in Iowa for AF besides be excellent? 20 unknown power level.
Well, hang in there because in the Iowa caucus, we're going to need you, okay? So just sit tight. What can you do right now? Nothing. Sit tight for 2028. If you want to do anything, get involved in your local GOP because we're going to need you in 28, okay? Anybody that's in those early states, Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Nevada, we need you. And what we need you to do is to get involved with your local GOP. Just start going to the meetings, making connections there. introduce yourself to everybody, become friends with them, because that's where we're going to need to call upon you. Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Nevada. Those are the states. But I appreciate the big super chat. We'll have a roll for you
Taco
soon.
Dog sent $20. It's been 11 years and Grow Wipers haven't done shit besides bitch. Here, get a frozen pizza on me.
Oh, you can think
Art
that.
Deco sent $50. You aren't appreciated enough for doing a live show every night. Thanks for always showing up. Love the show.
Thanks a lot. It's true.
Crypt84 sent $200. Fatties can't comprehend self-discipline, similar to addicts. Surgery, drugs and diets don't change their behavior. Congrats on the slim down. Lead by example. A-OK hand
Hey,
emoji.
thanks. Thank you for the big super chat. Yeah. Yeah, there's this gay guy on Twitter. I'm not going to say his name. I won't dignify him by even saying his name. But there's this raging gay guy in the group chat in the dollhouse. He keeps saying that I'm on peptides and lying about it. He's totally obsessed with this. And I told him, I said, listen, fucktard. I said, I'm not on peptides. I said, if I was, I would say so. Okay. If you say so, I didn't mean it. Yeah, that's what I thought. Then today, he must have tweeted a dozen times. He's on Trippa something zip tied. He's on this, he's on that. I don't know why he's lying about it. I said, hey. I said, I'm not on peptides. Oh, okay. I said, unlike you, I can control my appetites, okay? Unlike you, chopped, washed, chopped and screwed, nigga bitch, I can actually control whether I eat or don't eat, okay? Because I'm actually a high agency person. My appetites and my will are integrated. Yeah, that really pissed me. It's like, first of all, what business of it is yours? Second of all, why do you care? He's on the timeline. I must have seen a half dozen tweets. He's on this, he's on that. I don't know why he's lying. Hey, pal, I'm in the group chat. Why didn't you tag me in the group chat, dumbass? I know you had to go on peptides to lose all that weight, not me. Guess I'm just built different. I guess I'm just built a little bit differently. That's my body. That's me. That's who I am, and you are nothing. You are nothing. Lose 30 pounds, it's nothing to me. So anyway, yeah, that was unbelievable. But I appreciate the big super chat. Yeah, I really don't get enough credit, especially doing a natty. The body is tea, and it's all natty.
Diversity stole my
all
bike,
natural.
sent $1,234.
Thank you for the huge super chat. Whoa. 1234. Thank you very much, man. God bless you. Appreciate all the support. One of our big supporters here, Diversity Stole My Bike. Longtime big supporter of the show. Friend of the show, 07s to you. Thank you so much,
Chef
man.
Off War sent $20. R.I.P. Kyle Busch. Prayers to a legend.
He
was alive
died?
and will be remembered as such.
I didn't know that. That's terrible.
Muxvim sent $100. Your weight loss story is inspiring. No
It
drugs
is.
or exercise, just fewer nuggets.
It really is. Thank you for the big super chat. Yes, it is.
Truskian sent $20. You do not spread hate but retard grow wipers on X. Think that is the message. It's truly a problem for the legitimacy of AF.
Oh, those aren't real groypers.
Northern Cowboy sent $20. Top 5 Robert De Niro movies?
Let's see. Well, Taxi Driver, obviously. Godfather 2. Raging Bull. Casino. Limitless. That's a good pull. That's a deep pull. Because he's in Limitless. He's that guy. That's a great movie. That's an underrated movie. I saw that in theaters when it came out, 10, 15 years ago, whatever. That is a good movie. Yeah, I think that probably, unless I'm Goodfellas. Yeah, I guess you got to throw in Goodfellas too. Yeah, maybe I'd go Taxi Driver, Godfather 2, Goodfellas, Casino. Do you keep Raging Bull? Honestly, I never rewatched Raging Bull. I think I watched it once and I never watched it again. So I don't know if, you know what? Heat. It would be Heat. Heat would easily be number 5. He's great. I love when he kills that guy at the end. That was awesome. Remember that part when he killed that guy in the hotel? That was awesome. I don't want to spoil it. He was great in that. I can't wait for the sequel. Am I missing anything else? I'm trying to think about some of the other Scorsese movies. I didn't like The Irishman. I thought that was stupid, honestly. What else was he in? Yeah, that would be the top 5. Taxi Driver, Casino, Goodfellas, Heat. And what was the... And Godfather 2. Easy. Collateral? Yeah, Collateral was okay. Which one's Collateral again? Is that the one with Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx? Yeah, I don't know. That was kind of cheesy in my opinion. I thought it was going to be different. I thought it was kind of corny, to be honest with you. I think Tom Cruise is corny. I don't love Tom Cruise. He's good. He always does a good job, but I think he's just a little bit corny. He's the same character in every movie. He's just Tom Cruise. Entertaining movie, though. Entertaining, good watch, but not the best, in my opinion. Deer Hunter, never saw it, actually. Midnight Run, love Midnight Run.
Deer Hunter's great.
Wouldn't put it in that category.
Scary,
Bronx
though.
Tale, same thing.
Out.
Bronx Tale is super cheesy, too. That's one of those movies that's like, it's like a feel-good movie. It's kind of sentimental, but it's not. It's such a corny movie. The narrator sucks so hard. And what's the moral of the story? Like, date a black girl? I'm the Bronx Tale, bro. I'm the Bronx Tale. I'm going to pick up Candace Owens in my convertible. I'm going to give her the door test. I'm going to be driving with the Groypers. They're going to be throwing Molotov cocktails at the black neighborhood. I'll be like, Candace, I wasn't with them. Candace, I was not with them that night. So that movie is like kind of cheesy. There's some good scenes in there. Like, it's a good movie. Some good scenes, but it's a little cheesy, I think. Am I wrong about that? I would not consider that like a masterpiece. Sort of like a cheesy, corny, feel-good movie. It's like it's a guilty pleasure. It's a good watch. It's one of those movies like Shawshank Redemption or The Green Book. It's like one of those movies your mom likes. It's like a movie you watch with your mom. It's not like challenging. It's just kind of predictable and baby ass type stuff. But maybe that's just me. That's how I feel
Kara
about
sent
it.
$30. Ascending or descending? Hitler weighed 155 pounds and was 5'9". Your exact stats before you stopped eating.
Was he really? Well, yeah, but he was probably more muscular.
Trevor TS94 sent $20. Enjoying the show tonight with a nice cold glass of grass-fed milk.
Oh, great.
British West Indies ally sent $30. London calling 4 a.m. Wang for Nick.
Hey, let's go. W London. W British Groypers.
Patriots fan 112 sent $20. Hey buddy, love the show. Don't you think it's time for a new hairstyle? Put some gel and slick that thing back. You're not 14.
Okay, that just sounds stupid when you say it like that. Yeah, I need a new hairstyle, but I don't know what I want to do with it. I do like it messy, but what you're saying is you sound like my parents. Sound like some corny ass boomer. Slick your hair back. Shut the fuck up.
Dipak sent $20. Photographer from last night. I am a professional. I sent you a DM on Twitter with my portfolio. But keep it on the DL smile.
DL is what we do. Kidding. No, but I sent you a DM actually. I hit you back. So yeah, we'll keep it very DL. We'll keep it very discreet. But no, I texted you back on Twitter, so I don't know if you sent that before or. But yeah, I texted you back.
Laura D. sent $20. Frog emoji.
Very impressive. A lot of people say like, "Oh, I want to help, whatever." So I had to check and see if you were a pro, but looks pretty legit.
JD Vance's thyroid sent $20. I apologize on behalf of all Armenians for Dan's chicanery. The peak of his career was when he threw a porn star off his roof.
Yeah, that was kind of awesome. I can't even lie. That was pretty awful. If you throw a stripper off a roof, that's kind of based. But yeah, no, it's a shame what happened with him. But you know, it was probably necessary.
Roypna sent $20. SO mom, good emoji. At 68 yo we talk Catholicism and politics daily. She PMOFR Maudsley. She asks my friends you watch Nick? She's so grateful for you and says God writes straight with crooked lines. Keep it up, we love you.
Aww.
Latin cross emoji.
That's really cute. That's very sweet and very cute. Shout out you and your mom. I love to hear that. That's very adorable. Gotta love the grandmas and the moms. We love that. That's very sweet. She PMO Father Maudsley. What do you do? She pissing him off or? What's PMO? Father Maudsley's great. He's excellent. I'm glad she likes the show because I know the show is a little controversial at times. I don't want to put everybody off, but that's sweet. I like that.
Shadow 408 sent $20. You're trying the Alex Jones with that mustache, ain't ya?
I don't think so.
Clitters Cowboy sent $20. Want to know the future? Watch Nick Fuentes shout out day.
True.
Racial Slur sent $20. Were the Dulles brothers Patriots?
I think it could be argued they were.
Bob 100 sent $25. Nice stash. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
L. Ron Buff sent $20. Nick, I know being raped is not a concern, but what if you're outside and a condor or some large bird swoops down and grabs you?
Well, that would be a real problem.
Pat Groip once sent $20. Jesus Ministry was funded by women too, so you're in good company. Also, Micro Machines was a great pull. Major League swag out.
You like that one? That's a little callback. That's true. I never even thought of it that way.
Clitters Cowboy sent $20. Just a young guy in Maryland. What's your perspective on MD politics? What advice do you have for one individual to start making a change?
I don't know anything about Maryland politics. Just get involved. Start meeting people. Start meeting people, doing stuff for people. Just get good at socializing. The best thing you can do is just get good at socializing. Be a good listener. Be respectful. Be engaged. Put your phone away. Look people in the eye. I'm not even exaggerating. That is such an underrated ability. Ask questions. Ask for favors. Not crazy stuff, but, ask people to help you out. I would just start making connections. So if you're a young guy, get involved in your young Republicans, college Republicans, get on a campaign. I don't know your situation, but that's my advice.
Lofi sent $100.
Thank you for the big super
Math on
chat.
69 sent $50. Do you think Rahm Emanuel is going to run in 28? Given his history and outward opposition to Bibi, would he be a threat?
No, I don't think he's cut out for that. I don't think he's cut out for a national profile like that, but they're saying he's going to run. So
John K sent $250. Well, straight up denied me trying to subscribe on website. No pending, no nothing. Just denied. The new intro is modern and more professional. Old one was gay. Alex is Alex. Okay with Harrison, who really rubs me the wrong way is Owen. His departure was weird. He lied. Now Cringe can't watch him. Houston has a strong food scene.
Okay, well, thank you for all of those thoughts on everything. Appreciate the big super chat. Straight up denied. Well, I'm not going to troubleshoot your whatever issue, but thank you for the big super chat. I mean, did you try Google Pay, Apple Pay? There's a few different options. Yeah, I didn't like what happened with Owen and Alex either. I thought he handled that very poorly.
Bro, I promotion sent $20. I was with Army at JTFSB Spring Fall 25, doing dismounted patrols, etc. My PLT average 20 plus turnbacks per patrol /day and DX.
I don't know what that means.
Scroy percent $100. W show. Thanks for getting me through night shifts. Truly the GOAT.
Thanks for the
face
big
emoji.
super chat. Appreciate
Ahmed
it.
Roy
Glad
sent
to hear
$20.
it.
Hey Nick, if you're looking for a custom men's clothing stylist, how would someone reach out to you?
DM me on Twitter.
AK47 sent $25. Hot mustache.
Think so? Yeah, my hair's just too poofy right now. I need to get it cut. I had him leave it too long, I guess. Or I got to style it
Mr. Person
differently.
sent $50. Stash looks great, GOAT.
Thanks.
Deeply respect you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Hassan Piker's glasses sent $20. I need a pretty groy pet to take care of my emotional needs. Pass her around, bro.
Okay.
Pigoy Toy sent $20. Glad you lost that weight. I was concerned for your health. The suits are now a little loose though. Time for an alteration.
Okay. Thanks.
Yappenheimer sent
thanks for the
$20.
tips.
What's your beef with Bukele? Aren't we after something like him that'll grab the country by the neck and pull it out of its hole?
I don't have a beef with him.
White
or
America
something.
first sent $20. I bet if you came out, pause, as a Fed nobody would believe you. Smiley
Very
face
good.
emoji. Smiley face emoji.
I wonder what would happen if I just said like, yeah, so what, I am or something. People would just be like, yeah, we knew it.
Randy Fine
So-
Sextile sent $20. Would a ground invasion harbor enough hate for a significant amount of Jews to return to Israel?
No.
Thomas
what?
Massey Burner
No.
sent $20. If Tucker and Joe Kent are anti-Israel, then how can they be on the same team as pro-Israels like Deal, Vance, Sachs, etc.? Is one side just faking it or something?
I've explained it so many times. Tucker is not anti-Israel at all. He never said he is. That's the problem. You guys don't pay attention. Tucker is not anti-Israel. He tells you every time. He goes, I'm not anti-Israel. I love Israel. I'm not an anti-Semite. I love Israel. I love Jerusalem. It's my favorite place to go, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, bro, he loves Israel. He is part of this, like, Pentagon clique. They want to fight China, not Iran. So they're conditionally against some of what Israel is pushing us to do.
Kurt8521 sent $20. What is your opinion on flock cameras? Where I live, in Conroe TX, there's a guy named James Flitz that has been pressing the city, and the city is refusing to divulge what data they're collecting.
We just need privacy protections. I'm not necessarily against the technology, but it's just that it's abused. That's the issue.
Mikey Fat Ass Chud sent $25. I'm a teacher with a dog. You need to put on muscle ASAP or you will not be able to pick up your wife.
Okay. Quiet chalk hands.
The Blue Dreamer 95 sent $20. Fuck them about losing weight. You're the best looking chat on the thread.
Thanks.
Wagey
Appreciate
Pat
it.
sent $50. Hey Nick, I ordered merch on March 24th for my husband's birthday, but it didn't come. I emailed the help desk multiple times, but no response.
Okay.
Could you look into this? Thank you. Pink heart
Yeah,
emoji.
I'll get on that right
17
now.
BMI Grower Pat sent $30. Don't let fatties body shame you. You look incredible. 126 pounds is a perfectly acceptable weight for men. Low bone density.
Okay.
Vexelum 88 sent $20. Make the stash smaller or no balls. CJ 91 sent $20. Keep trying to link the AF reading list you made with Dag and Milo years back, but Rumble won't let me. It's on my X for any Nugents who keep asking about a reading list. Big shirt but no pants sent $25. Would you rather be a pirate, cowboy, or samurai? Also Waka Flocka shouted you out on his Instagram story last Saturday.
Really? What did he say? Waka Flocka, that's a throwback. Goodness. Isn't it crazy you have all these like rappers from when you were in middle school that you remember like that? Waka Flocka. Pirate, cowboy, or samurai? Probably a pirate because I love the water. I want to be on the ship. I'm not a cowboy life is too... You're out there, you're like on your own. I like the idea of being on a ship. I want to be the captain of a ship. You got a crew. You're like a squad. You're squatted up. So you guys know I love the pirate LARP. I'm a big pirate head. Cowboy is cool too, but I don't like this Lone Ranger thing. And it's too like hot. I don't like this idea like being in the desert or something. I don't like that theme. I would go pirate for sure. Samurai's just too Asian.
Donkey Jacket sent $20. Former Republican here. Just found your show. Looking forward to voting Democrat in 2026 and encouraging everyone I know to do the same, unless it's fishback.
Love it.
Kozia Postaja sent $50. GOP can't and won't defend every district. We can slip through the cracks. We boot the traitors and boost our guys where the GOP can't defend, and we take the party in a decade. GOP great replacement.
Good game
User
plan.
1257456 sent $20. Please stay safe, man. Building a network of brothers and currently getting my money up for AF.
Love it. Yes, get your money
Donkey
up.
Jacket sent $20. If you still don't understand why we. Eric Blair sent $20. Loved you on Dave Smith and your own episodes on Massey and Cuba this week.
Thanks.
Temp King sent $20. NF is bought and paid for by the left and they're paying him through super chats. Bought and paid for.
The left. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Granny Grow I sent $20. In Sneeko we love, for Sneeko we dine. If he blew up my house, I'd say it was fine. Mr. G sent $30. Hey Nick, are you gonna go out in public with the mustache to test if the ladies get all over you like with Alex Jones? Slavs for Latino Emperor sent $22. Bless me, father, a 122 pounds Ukrainian to marry 200 pounds Latina. My son shall be known as Nick Jr., the savior of Europe and Ukraine. Balkanianman sent $20. To quote Agent Smith, why my gosh why do you persist? How does anyone still support this literal fucking fat retard at all at this point?
Oh.
Trend following Groy sent $50. Hitler mustache for casual Friday. Kobe 805 sent $107. Birthday kick emoji.
Thank you for the big super chat. Whose birthday
Heps
is
sent
it?
$20. No, Nick, you're getting it all wrong. We have net negative migration. Something I never thought would happen in my lifetime. Brother.
Yeah, right.
Mrs. 21 sent $50. I took your simple advice of not eating and I've also lost out 30 pounds since the new year. I mod harder now and life's just better. Diets are cope. Starve maxing is the way. You're the goat by the way.
Yes,
Go emoji.
starve max.
Crypt 84
That's
sent
the way.
$50. Gonna trim the sides of that stash down a bit. Come shot got Groy per
Okay.
67 cent $20. You know the cope is going to be insane about these deportation numbers after tonight's show. The Trump shells are going to go crazy on Twitter and have a field day with the clip. Uncle Groy per cent $100. Keep the beard, you look very handsome. Do you have plans for Memorial Day weekend? Christ is king.
Thank you for the big super chat. So the beard is gone. So how would I keep it? Keep the beard, he says. Oh, okay, I'll keep it then. Okay, I'll keep it.
Trumplefinskin sent $20. Hey big guy, bring back the whiteboard.
Okay.
How's Al? New into his crazy energy. Also pee pee poo poo.
The dog
Oliver
is
James
good.
sent $20. I want to stop eating too. What were you honestly eating when you did eat? Just chicken and veggies? Help us ascend.
I don't
Iowa
know
Grower per cent
anything, man.
$20. Nick is in his petite era. Juty Boy sent $20. You might be a pussy if you're scared of germs, you short bitch. Love you, though. Wang forever.
Yeah,
Brett's
charming.
Poo per cent $25. 8%. 12%. Dan Kazarian could never.
Dan Kazarian. That's it. I was looking for something like that. That's it. Dan Kazarian.
Blurt sent $20. Who do you watch on Kick besides our brown clown Sneeko?
That's
I seen
great.
you in his chat the other day. Nick on Kick soon.
Dan Kazarian. That's what we're going with. That is really good. Nice job. Who do I watch on Kick? Sneeko, Clavicular, Asmongold, Aiden Ross, Cheeser. That's who I watch.
African American Tron below 11 cent $25. Candace.
Tyler Russell.
African American Tron below 11 cent $25. Candace was nicer to Hunter than she ever was to you. Ironic that being a crackhead is a way to a black woman's heart. Think he gave her some? Blurt sent $20. Who do you watch on Kick besides our brown? The White Rican sent $20. Chocolate or vanilla shake?
I don't know, man. Depends.
Broken Groy sent $100.
Thank you for the big super chat.
Leave Groy sent
Appreciate it.
$20. How can you take over Canada when you can't even take back Chicago? Trump has consistently antagonized and betrayed Canada. Shavery sent $20. Been 9 days since I had a computer. Just finished setting it up. Is there any better feeling?
It's a pretty good feeling.
Douglas Kappa sent $30. Nick will finish what Clav started.
I'm going to have to, yeah. I love Clav. I'm not trying to diss him. I had a clip the other day. He reacted to it. I still like him. I'm still cool with him. But it might be my turn to ascend. After I get my leg lengthening surgery, I think it might be over. Leg lengthening, going to get on test. And then let's see. Then let's see how it all shakes out. Should I do leg lengthening surgery? That would be pretty drastic. But it might be
AF
necessary.
Ruby Ridge sent $20. Love the show, you're huge in Idaho.
Thanks.
Clav Groiper on X sent $20. Groiper ever since your stream with Clav. Clav said you were right, have the incel situation. Love you all's friendship. Unity.
Unity, so
NTC
true.
Groiper sent $20. What's the esoteric lore behind Saturn and what are hidden sparks since you said you were one? Interested.
I didn't. Just look into it. This is Kabbalah, okay? That's just all Kabbalism. And they have this story about how in the beginning you have God, which permeates everything. He opens up a space inside of himself where creation grows. God, it sort of enters the created world through the 10 Sphirot, flowing from top to bottom. And it's said that the way that God poured himself into the Sphirot was uneven. It broke. These emanations of God is what they're called. And now the universe as we know it are all these broken shards of those emanations that contain godliness or that spark of God, and it's their job to sort of put it together. They say it's tikkun olam, this repairing the world, collecting those shards, ascending, and trying to reach God again. If I have that, it's been a long time since I looked into it, but that's something like what their mysticism talks about. So that's some beginner level
Sherelle
stuff.
writes Urethates fine sent $50. I have broken self-control so I sucked it up and got on Zep. Now I'm not fat. I reflect on my shortcomings and solve practically with money and insurance paperwork. No excuses.
Okay.
Cosmic
great.
Groiper sent $20. Have you ever considered relocating to Northwest Indiana? Maybe you're a city boy, but at least the taxes are lower there.
No, I think I'd rather die.
Larry Hoover Pardon sent $20. Name your favorite red states.
I have none. My favorite states are California, Illinois, New York. The only red state I like is Florida. That's it, probably. Every other red state, I think I'm good.
Fur Burgerton sent $100.
Maybe Wisconsin,
Fur Burgerton.
if that's red.
Fur Burgerton sent $100. 34 yo with non-ironic mustache for 12 years. Commitment is key. Longer it's there, the less they talk about it.
Okay.
Take point on Groiper's stash. Subtle/deniable identifier for movement. All love from Iowa.
Hey, I'm going to shave it just because you said that. Thank you for the big super chat, though. I appreciate it. Oh, a 34-year-old with a non-ironic mustache in Iowa. It's like, oh. Okay.
Top Spick Groiper sent $20. Real Groipers are watching AF on the treadmill while getting their cardio in. Lean is law. W Spick. Radagon sent $20. WAF team.
Yes.
JM Groiper sent $50.
Thank you.
Gratitude Maxing sent $20. Put on weight to pick up his wife? Like he would marry a fat chick.
So
Sam
true.
Clark sent $20. It's not that deep, bro. Just get on a plane to Cairns, Australia, get on a boat and learn to scuba dive on Great Barrier Reef. Shavery sent $20. Check the GC, this dude stole Dan Kazarian from me, SMH.
Really? Well, okay. Okay, credit fag. It's yours. Okay, all right. That's our last super chat. Some of those are pretty rough, I'm not going to lie, but that's okay. That's going to do it for me. Remember to smash the follow button, smash the like button, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the show. I'm on the air Monday through Friday. As always, thanks for watching. Big shout out, special thank you.
Yeah, you know, the Dems bad, Republicans good thing. It feels good. Makes you feel safe. Makes you feel like you have control. But fooling ourselves isn't going to fix anything. You know, I used to feel the same way, but who are we trying to fool here? Neither of these parties gives a shit about any of us. Neither of these parties care what we think. what our problems are, who we want to live around. They don't care. They couldn't care less. Truly, they could not care any less. And it's just not as reductive as these guys want to destroy America and these guys don't. It's no. They both want to destroy what we love. They just want to do it in different ways. And it's not that they're destroying America. They're just destroying what we like about America. I like that America was a white country, but it doesn't really matter what I like. Like, when it comes down to it, it's kind of their country. We don't really own this country. We don't get to express ownership over the country. It's I don't know. It's blackpilling as shit, just like Nick said at the beginning. But anyhow, that's my piece. I hope you all enjoyed the show. I know we got a little bit rough, a little horsing around. It's all in good fun, of course. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your morning, and have a blessed day, as they say.